Hello, weary traveler, and welcome to the Two-Ton Tabletop. Go ahead, take any seat you like. We'll be around soon with a flagon of ale and some snacks. Please, relax a while and leave the adventuring to us. This is Long Live the Red King, Session 1. Hi, everybody. Good, everybody. Welcome to Two-Ton Tabletop. Welcome to the first session of Long Live the Red King. I'm Two-Ton. I'll be your DM on this adventure. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in for kind of a rocky start. It'll get better. You know how it goes. We're going to go around the table and let everybody kind of introduce themselves, and then we'll jump on into the game. Let's start with Adumbrata. And this is more about you than your character, so introduce yourself.
Hey, I am Tig. I am currently speaking from a dark void where I can hear no one but myself or Josh. It's awesome. I've been D&Ding for a while, but this is my first time playing a session quite as hardcore as Red King. I am very excited to die horribly.
Good intro. Deep, take it away.
Hello, my name is Wheat Holt. I'm based out of North Carolina, fellow DM, longtime coworker with our DM, and excited to get going with the Red King.
All right. Duck, take it away.
All right, my name is Michael Brett. I am playing Duck. I also go by C+ in various areas of the internet. And yeah, I'm scared about what's going to happen. It sounds like it's pretty dangerous out there.
We'll throw to Tezos.
Name is Tim. My character's name is Tezos. Longtime RPGer and gamer of all sorts. Old colleagues and friends with the DM, our adventure. Spent the past few years deep in Delta Green, Call of Cthulhu land, so I have stared into the abyss and no longer fear oblivion. So this should be fun.
Excellent. Samson, if you wouldn't mind, again, give us your intro because it did not go live the first time you did it.
No worries. My name is Hayden. I've been playing D&D for a couple of years now. I will be playing Samson. He is a Hexblade Warlock, Warforged, and I'm excited to dive deep into Long Live the Red King.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay. I think that handles our intros. So I'll see if I can go ahead and set the scene here. Welcome to the world of Gull. Winter's icy grip has broken across the Isle of Red. As the ice of the northern sea begins to crack and recede, ships are once again able to arrive and depart the southern shores of the isle. As northern ships begin arriving at southern ports, word begins to spread that there is work to be found on the Isle of Red. People of all stripes start to filter into port cities seeking passage to their possible fortunes. Ships arriving directly from the Isle's capital city of Gad are seen offloading small cadres of soldiers and agents of the Red King. They somberly carry secret word that the Red King is dying. Rumors abound that the Red King's heir is missing, and that these soldiers and agents are searching for him. Having secured passage from the mainland to the Isle of Red, you board the icebreaker on a cool, crisp morning. The ship isn't much to speak of. She's not very big. A small cargo hold and enough room to accommodate perhaps 10 passengers, assuming those 10 passengers weren't too concerned with personal space. Her sails have been mended more than a few times and showed the scars of sharp winds past. What she lacks in polish, she makes up for in economy. A ticket aboard the icebreaker costs but a pittance and promises a safe voyage and 2 hot meals a day. As you step off the gangplank and onto the deck of the ship, you're greeted by the ship's first mate, Anya, a robust human woman with dark skin and black hair that has started to gray around the edges. Her smile is warm, but her tone is all business, and it's easy to see why she's been placed in charge of the crew. She raises a command to Elias, one of the deckhands, to show you to your bunk and help you stow your things. Over the next 16 days, the voyage is pleasant and uneventful, if a bit chilly. You have plenty of time to get to know your fellow shipmates, both the crew and the other passengers. Meals, breakfast, and supper are served in the galley, where everyone from the captain and crew to the passengers sits down together to eat and talk. And let's go ahead and introduce everyone to the ship.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with Autumn Brata. You find yourself... Okay, we should be good to go. Autumn Brata.
Okay.
You find yourself in a small bunk aboard ship. It is still early in the morning. How would you like to spend your day?
Adam would probably spend the day trying to avoid people as much as possible. He's not what you'd call a social butterfly. So as much time as possible in his room, go for meals, eat as little as he needs to survive, and then leave straight away. But when he thinks he can get away with it, he would... I mean, this being as this is a naval voyage, I assume there's fish and large aquatic wildlife about, and it's a fairly risky business, so he would probably be snooping on the people that get injured, taking notes of what happened to them and how quickly they healed and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But trying not to be noticed while he does it.
Not being noticed might be tough on such a small ship with so few passengers. But
he's up for the challenge.
Yeah. Is there anything on the ship you'd like to explore? Anyone you'd like to speak to at this point?
Is there a ship's doctor?
There is not. The closest thing they have is a group of sailors that have had to stitch up their compatriots from time to time.
Okay. Well, he'd probably just kind of try to get a rough idea of who his fellow passengers are. He's not... Especially when he realizes that they're not all human. He would probably talk to them just to sort of see what makes them tick.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, if you'd like to exit your room and explore the ship at all, feel free to do so.
I would like to, but it's loading very slowly. I assume I drag him over to the door. That'll get me out.
You will have to open the door, which you would do by clicking on the door icon and selecting open.
That is generally how one does these things.
Mm-hmm.
But I appear to be moving incredibly slowly. Which, to be fair, I do in real life too. No, I don't want to change my health. Oh. Okay. This is a very fancy interactive map.
I do my best.
I assume this little swirly thing up here is stairs upstairs?
Little
stairs to the
swirly
upstairs?
thing up here.
At the north.
There are no stairs to your north.
What is that to my north?
That is a cross-section of the mast as it cuts through the center of the ship.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to touch that because
Probably best.
yeah, that's just
Yeah.
going to sink us. Or would I? There'd be lots of injuries to it. No. Not yet, anyway.
You find yourself now in the galley. Across the room from you and behind a bar, you can see the top of a very bald head just above the level of the bar top. You assume this to be the halfling cook that was that you were told about when you came on board the ship. He seems to be busying himself with something.
Okay. Roughly what time of the day is it?
It is morning. It is roughly, we're going to say like 7 a.m. at this point.
Okay. Edinburgh would attempt to walk over to the bar. And he would succeed. Do we know the barkeep's name?
At this point, you only know him as the halfling cook.
Okay. In that case, Edinburgh would walk over to the bar and say, "Excuse me, barkeep. I find myself in need of something to break my fast. Do you know when breakfast will be served?"
Ah, yes, of course. And the little man behind the bar seems to step up onto some sort of stool or apparatus that brings him roughly eye to eye with you. And he introduces himself. I'm Aram Buck. You can just call me Cook. You can call me Aram. Just don't call me late for dinner. I'll be serving breakfast in about an hour.
Okay, then. And he would move to the table, and he would take a small notebook out of his belt pouch and just begin scribbling furiously in it, and a little stubby pencil that was also in the pouch.
Okay.
And then he would wait there for breakfast.
All right. Let's move to Deep and Samson. You both find yourselves in the same space. There are no beds here. There are only hammocks, as the ship's crew was informed that neither of you actually need sleep. There are hammocks, of course, if you choose to use them. There's a table and some chairs, and each of you has a chest that you can use for your personal belongings should you so choose. What would you like to do?
So, how long have we been traveling at this point?
About an hour.
Okay. Let's see. I think Deep would, to start, he'd be very curious about the other Warforge and kind of sheepishly approach and say, "Hello. What's your name?"
Hello there. My name is Samson. What is yours?
Hi, Samson. I'm Deep. It's not often I see other automatons out and about.
Yes, very much for me too. You're the first one I've encountered.
Interesting. I've seen a handful, though not like me and not like you. What brings you this way?
Oh, you know, same as everyone else looking for work,
I see.
looking for adventure.
I'm on an information gathering trip myself. We'll see what comes of it. Who knows? There's a lot out there.
Yes, there is. You could say I'm excited to see what we can find.
Same. I think that I'm gonna go explore the rest of the ship. I'll see you later, Samson.
Very
I
well.
think Deep would head out. Um, let's see, and I think that he would very much head into the next room. He's looking for the equivalent of a navigator on the ship. Is there one? Has he been introduced to one, or does he really only know like the Anya and Elias at this point?
So far, those are the only two you've met. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. He's gonna head up then.
Okay. The door you just exited. Okay, you have found the staircase. And
Cool.
that staircase brings you to... Oh, don't move your token for a second.
Okay.
That staircase brings you to here.
Cool. So yeah, I think he's gonna just continue up, trying to get to the main deck.
Okay. That staircase brings you to... there. Roll20 is being very slow today. You find yourself back on the main deck of the ship.
Cool. Do I spot Anya anywhere around?
You can hear her very clearly talking to somebody on the aft deck of the ship where the helm would be found.
Okay. I think that Deep would politely stand at the base of the stairs until he hears a break in conversation. Not intentionally trying to eavesdrop on them. And then once they've kind of wrapped up what they're doing, he would head up and try and get Anya's attention.
Okay. Give me a perception check.
Okay. Perception. Whew. We're doing good.
While you can hear voices, you're not really... They're not speaking loudly, and you're not really able to make out what they're talking about. The wind in the sails is probably the loudest sound that you're currently aware of. But after a few moments, a fairly grizzled white-haired man kind of stumbles his way down the staircase, and he stops at the bottom of the stairs, and he kind of eyes you up and down. He gives you a smile, and he says, "I think you might be the first of your kind I've seen aboard my ship. Welcome, Captain Lazaro." And he sort of shyly and unsuredly extends his hand, like he's not sure if, it's polite to shake the hand of a Warforged or an Auto-Gnome. He's never done it before.
Sure. You said Captain Lazaro?
Captain Lazaro.
Okay. Deep cheerishly sticks his hand out and grabs the captain's hand and says, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Captain. I'm happy to be aboard."
He smiles at this. He's very happy to be, meeting someone so very different than the beings that he's used to being on his ship. And he says,
"Captain, I have a..." Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, Captain, I two things for you. One, there's another Warforged on this ship as well. I just met him myself.
That's what I'd heard. I didn't see him come aboard, but I'm looking forward to meeting him as well.
Yeah, what are the chances for you that, one journey, two Warforged, first time?
I'd say it's extremely strange.
Yeah, I get that feeling as well. So one question: do you have a navigator on board. I have some questions for them, just broad, general questions.
Of course. You'll want to talk to my first mate, currently at the wheel, busying herself with making sure we don't, go the wrong direction. Funnily
Certainly.
enough.
Excellent. Well, I'll head over that way. It was a pleasure meeting you, Captain. I'm sure that we'll see each other around.
I'm sure we will. Enjoy the voyage.
Thank you.
And with that, he
Deep will
just kind
head
of.
up.
The captain enters a doorway next to the staircases, closing the door behind him and disappearing from view.
Okay. Deep is going to head to Anya.
All right.
Say, excuse me, Anya. Are you terribly busy at this moment?
Well, aside from piloting the vessel and making sure we don't all die, not busy at all. What can I help you with?
Well, I'll take as little of your time as I can then. I'm a bit of a cartographer myself. I haven't spent much time at sea, and I was hoping to perhaps get some pointers about aquatic navigation. I'm very familiar with on land, but any opportunity to learn is a good opportunity to me. Is there might you have some time throughout our voyage for us to talk in more detail, or perhaps there's someone else on board that may be a better person to speak with?
Well, I imagine I'm the one you'd want to talk to. I can teach you how to use a map, a compass, a sextant. Not at this moment, obviously, but
Certainly.
perhaps after a meal some night.
Excellent. I appreciate that. I will do my best to take you up on that offer when you have some time. I'll leave you to it.
Very well.
And I think that Deep is just going to head down and head towards the bow of the ship,
Okay.
and just kind of take in this voyage and pull out his little personal journal that he keeps on him at all times and start scribbling some notes about the day's journey. Just a little brief entry of officially set sail. Here are some of the folks that I've met, the captain and Anya, and ensuring that he's kind of tracked the basic information that he keeps up with.
Okay. As you walk across the length of the ship, you pass Elias, who you had met earlier, and he's just kind of sitting on the edge of a rowboat on the deck, and seems to be playing around with a squeeze box that he brought on board. Just kind of plinking out a little melody, nothing fancy. You also pass another older and more kind of seaworthy looking sailor on the starboard side of the ship, who's busying himself with tying off ropes, making sure that the sails are set where they need to be. Occasionally you'll hear a command barked from Anya at the wheel, and this sailor will bark back an aye and slightly change what he's doing, switch hands to a different rope, etc. But he seems to be busying himself quite well.
Great. I think Deep is just gonna stay up there and enjoy the sailing and taking his little notes and kind of just people watching on as they do their thing. Not particularly trying to glean anything from anyone, just taking it all in.
Okay. We go now to Duck, who is in his bunk, all alone, hearing the sounds of the sea lapping against the side of the ship as it travels. Duck, how would you like to spend your morning?
Oh, gonna yawn a bit. Okay, well, time to get to work, I guess. Find out how I can help. I'm sure there's something I can do on this ship. And Duck will go towards the door and hopefully be able to open it. And he'll try to find his way to the top deck. I think that is going to the south, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yeah, the stairs that you came down to get you to your bunk are uh, toward the aft of the ship, south to you.
Okay. Yep, no one here. Okay, well, let's go up a level. I think this is the right way.
Okay.
And
As you reach the top of the staircase, you come out.
Just to briefly interject, as Dark walks past, Edinburgh's eyes just light up, and he tracks him as he walks away, and then he starts scribbling furiously in his book.
Okay.
yep, no work over here. Do I see Elias? I think it's who I'm looking for.
Yes, you do see Elias. He is kind of dead ahead of you, sitting on the side of a rowboat, playing his concertina.
All right. Duck will make his way over there. Hey, Elias, is there any work I can do? I'm really, good with wood, and I want to help and pay my way on this ship.
Work, eh? Well, I mean, you're a passenger. The work is
No, no,
for
no.
us to do. You've bought your ticket, and well, we can't expect you to work. Of course, if something goes wrong, he kind of knocks on the wood that he's sitting on. Hopefully, it won't. If we might enlist you for help in repairs, but as it stands now, we've got everything well under control. Well, under control enough that I can sit here and make some music instead of pulling ropes. And you hear the other sailor north of you kind of grunt as Elias says this.
What's your name?
Are you talking to the other sailor?
Yeah.
He doesn't respond at first, and then he kind of stops what he's doing. He doesn't look up in your direction, but you hear him grunt. You can call me Harry.
Hey, Harry. I like your name. You don't seem very hairy, though.
He kind of turns and looks at you from under his hood, and most of what you see is beard.
Oh, I was mistaken. You are indeed hairy. Well, nice to meet you.
Aye.
Well, fellas, if there's. Is that a. What is that I see straight ahead? Is that one of your things, Harry?
That's another one of your fellow passengers. Why don't you go and
Oh,
introduce yourself?
Do I hear this at this point?
Um,
Am I close enough?
I think so, yeah.
I think Deep it just looks up from his journal and waves like a little kid. It's like, "Hi,
hello?
what's your name?"
Well, my name's Duck, and what are you?
My name is Deep. Nice to meet you, Duck. I'm discovery, exploration, and artifact protection. It's my specialty. That's why it was created.
Okay. I like your name. It feels similar to mine.
2Ds. I like that too.
Okay. Well, there's no help needed up here. Um, Maybe there's help needed downstairs. I don't know.
Well,
I'm gonna
it's nice
go.
to meet you, Duck. Bye.
And Doug will walk off, not
Okay.
being, purposely impolite, but just, accidentally. And I think Doug will make his way back downstairs. He's trying to find something to do, and I don't think there's anything for him to, help with, poke around with. So he'll
Mhm.
probably eventually give that up and try to make his way towards, where he thinks, food might happen. Doesn't look like
Okay.
much is going on upstairs.
I will move your token back to the lower deck.
Perfect.
And that puts you here. And as you get back below deck, immediately your nostrils are filled with the smells of frying meats, frying potatoes. There's definitely smells coming from the hallway ahead of you.
Oh, right. Oh, boy. I think we found something good. Hello. Are you the cook? Talking to, looking at Adam, which I don't know his name.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, as you enter, he's still looking at his book, but you can see he's peering up through his eyebrows and tracking your journey as he comes back. Then as you come to question him, he just sort of puts the pencil down. If I were the cook, would
Mm-hmm.
I be here or would I be cooking?
It's a good point. I guess you're not.
Yeah.
Who are you? What are you?
I am Adam Brata. What are you?
I'm a duck. Nice to meet you.
Now, Adam Brada, you've seen ducks before. This
Okay.
is certainly not a duck.
Yes. Would I have seen whatever duck actually is before? Is that a race I would be familiar with?
Give me a nature check.
Oh, Christ. I'm going to guess no, I don't.
Three.
Nature roll. Oh, yeah. 3.
This is
Oof.
absolutely the first turtle you've ever laid eyes on.
Okay. So I would hold out my hands, quite a fancy way, as if offering to shake hands. Duck, would you accept?
Oh, yeah. I think he's going to walk over and shake your hand. Sure.
And as you do, he kind of grasps your hand and pulls it a bit closer to him and just sort of starts examining it. Fascinating.
This is a new handshake for me.
Yeah. It's new experiences all around. And he kind of lets it go and sits down and scrawls a few more notes. I believe if you are looking for food, the man behind me is preparing it.
Hello!
Okay, thank you,
Breakfast will be
Adam.
ready in about a half hour.
Oh, man. All right. And I think Duck will sit down, follow Adam's lead, and just kind of just stare forward into the distance.
Okay. And with that, we will go to Tezos.
Cool.
You find yourself in a small room.
Tezos will. Cool. He'll wake up, do some morning calisthenics,
Mm-hmm.
get stretched, good and limber. Push-ups, sit-ups, all the fun stuff you're supposed to do in the morning.
Yeah, fun.
Um,
When I think push-ups, I think fun. Yeah.
exactly. He'll go through, assess his backpack, assess his gear, things like that. Check his equipment, check his shield, especially since we're out to sea. Have to make sure that no rust is accumulated or anything like that's occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Wipe it down with a oiled cloth. Get his gear together, and then head out
Okay.
to get some grub.
You should be able to just click on that door icon and select open, and it should open for you.
Cool. Maybe.
That would be the window.
That would be the window.
I don't recommend
There we
exiting
go.
that way.
All right. Guess I'll head down the hall, see what everybody else is up to.
All right. As you open your door, the smells of breakfast hit you like a frying pan in the face. It is really starting to fill the entire kind of inside of the ship with good smells.
Nice. All right. Well, I will just take an empty seat, place my gear down, my bag in front of me, under my seat, and chill right to my side and relax.
Okay. In the
Just
room with
taking
you,
in the
you see.
environment, seeing who's here.
In the room with you, you see a human sitting on the far side of the table, rather well dressed, considering he's, on board a ship traveling north. He seems to be dressed for something else. You also see a small turtle sitting next to him. Just kind of seems happy to be there. Behind the bar on the far end of the room, you see a rather stout little halfling kind of flitting about, turning bacon in a pan, cracking eggs, flipping pieces of bread that are toasting on top of a cooktop, things like that. It smells wonderful in here.
Nice. Well, he'll nod to the small tortoise-like creature and the well-dressed gentleman.
Hey, friend.
He doesn't really speak. He just kind of grunts his acknowledgement.
Sorry, my roll 20 kind of shit the bed there. I think I'm back.
Yep, you're back. Things Roll20 has been known to do. Okay, let's go back to
Indeed.
Samson, where he is in his quarters, having just watched Deep walk out of the room and wander up some stairs. Samson, how would you like to spend your morning? Samson, I don't know if you're muted, but whatever you're saying is not coming through on audio.
Sorry, I was muted.
There you go.
Sorry, my Roll20 is also shit the bed, so I'm trying to get that figured out. So Samson is going to wait a few minutes after Deep leaves, and then he's going to do basically like a security walkthrough. He's going to assess what types of defenses the ship has, look out from the bow, things like that, just to sort of figure out what is here.
Okay.
And what sort of defenses there are.
You did see pretty clearly on the main deck as you boarded the ship 2 large cannons that were tied down with a full complement of shot piled directly underneath them. No ballistas or anything like that to speak of, but a couple of cannons on a ship this size is a pretty decent armament.
Okay. Sorry, like I said, my Roll20 is shit the bed, so I'm trying to get
No worries.
this to work. He'll just hang out on the top of the deck,
Okay.
opposite side of the ship from where he sees Deep standing,
So
and look out over the water.
all right. I've got you there.
Is Elias still picking his instrument?
He is.
I think at this point, Deep's just kind of he's made his notes in his journal and put in his first little entry for the day, and he's getting a little bored. And he's just gonna listening to him play music. He's gonna cast prestidigitation as he's picking, and really just make it sound off key, so that he thinks that he's playing worse than he is. Just a little light prank on Elias.
Elias kind of stops playing and he tries that last note again, and it comes out just as sour this time. He turns the concertina over.
When he turns it over, I play the note correctly again. Like, very clearly letting him know that I'm fucking with him.
Let's see if he actually does notice that it was you. And let's have him roll perception. He does. He sees you kind of adjusting magic currents with your hand as he's playing, and he kind of giggles and he says, "That's a good one. No one's done that one before." And he just goes back to playing, presumably in key this time.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Deep just gets a little kick out of it, gets some laughs, and goes back to minding his own business.
All right. Back below decks, about this time, Aram, the cook, is putting plates and cups in front of everybody that's present. The three of you receive a plate piled high with good breakfast foods, eggs and rashers of bacon, some amazingly crispy fried potatoes, some hearty, brown toasted bread. And he asks each of you if you prefer coffee, tea, water.
Just water will do fine, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. I think water is perfect. I think it's my favorite thing.
And for you, sir, he looks over at Tezos.
Type of coffee, black as night.
A kindred spirit. A couple minutes later, you have 2 glasses of water and a steaming cup of coffee on the table. The water's not very cold, but it's clean.
Adam kind of takes the glass with a nod, gives it a quick look, and then takes a sip and puts his glass down.
As you all dig into your breakfast, you watch the cook start putting a plate of breakfast and a corked bottle of hot coffee into a basket, which he then carries out of the galley and out of sight. Up on the deck, Deep and Samson, you might see this little stout halfling carrying a good-smelling basket of food up to the main mast. From the crow's nest above, you hear a hearty, "Good morning, Aram!" And a long rope with a hook tied to the end of it descends. Aram waves a good morning to the crow's nest, hooks the basket onto the hook, gives it a little tug, and up the basket goes. And Aram walks back downstairs, back into the galley.
Could I try and clock what the person in the nest looks like?
You broke up a little bit. Did you say try and clock what he looks like?
Yeah, just see what I can see.
Sure. Roll perception.
Let's do better this time. Hey,
17. All right. As he was kind of leaning out the side of the crow's nest to, haul his breakfast up by rope, you see kind of a middle-aged dwarf, a mostly graying beard that was probably once a deep, rich brown. He's dressed as one might expect a sailor to dress, in simple leather armor, sort of a tricorn hat, and little bitty round spectacles that are perched kind of out on the end of his nose like such. You watch as he retrieves the basket from below, opens it up, draws it deeply into his nostrils, nods happily, and then he disappears from view as he slumps down inside the crow's nest. A crow's nest, you notice, that is much larger than you would expect a crow's nest on a ship this size to be.
Would I had to sail in at least one other ship since coming over. Would I have any insight into why that may be? Like why this crow's nest would be larger than others?
Not really. No, that's kind of a mystery.
Cool.
While Aaron's up, I think Duck is gonna try to go through some stuff in the kitchen, see if he can find anything that's green.
Okay. As you kind of step behind the bar, Aram becomes instantly defensive. Whoa, whoa, whoa there, buddy. What can I get for you?
Just looking for some leaves.
Leaves?
Something green.
And he kind of turns around and his entire upper half disappears inside a cabinet. And you hear some rustling around and he says, I think we might have some spinach in here. I don't know exactly how fresh it might... yep, here we go. Oh, this isn't too bad. And he comes out with a kind of a little basket of green leafiness.
Nice. And Duck will go for the whole basket and try to take it to the table if Aaron will let him.
Oh, okay then.
Thank you.
He's a little surprised, but he doesn't try to stop you.
Do you guys want any of this? Looking at Adam and Tezos.
Adam has been following this whole thing with rapt attention. As you sit down, he completely ignores your question. He's like, so do you mostly eat green vegetables? Or is it anything green?
Duck will look at himself, since he's a little green. Well, no, not anything green. And I'll eat anything, but green stuff tends to taste the best, unless it's on me.
Okay then. He makes a few more notes in his book.
All right. Well,
Tezos grunts. No thanks.
More for me.
And continues
but
eating
you're
his
welcome.
breakfast in military precision.
All right. So this being the first morning, the journey is said to take approximately 16 days aboard ship. So you've got a little over 2 weeks to find a way to spend your time. So, starting with Adam. What do you see yourself doing over 2 weeks aboard ship?
Well, he had one plan, but the moment he met Duck, that plan went right out the window. His new plan is to find out exactly what this thing is, what makes it tick, and what'll make it stop ticking.
That's not ominous at all. Do you do this through conversation or, let's call it mildly creepy observation?
A little of both. He would probably start out much like with the leafy greens conversation, just sort of quietly trying to ascertain as much information as he can. Once he feels like he's learned the most he can through that, he would start kind of subtly trying to test the duck. So he'd like put a sort of something that looks quite tasty, that he thinks looks quite tasty in one point, and then green thing next to it to see which one he goes for. If like try like changing the portion sizes to see if he would rather eat a larger thing of non-green or a smaller amount of green food and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He probably wouldn't jump straight to like cutting on the guy, but he would certainly be considering it. If we pushed 3 weeks, he would probably try that.
Okay. Duck, give me a perception roll, please. $13. You do take notice that this other passenger is paying more attention to you than the other passengers. I'll leave it to you to decide how uncomfortable that makes you. But you do notice that occasionally, after talking with you, he will scribble some notes in a little book that he has. Every once in a while, you'll come around a corner and notice that you're being peeked upon by Adam Brada.
I think during some part of our interaction, Duck will ask him, or just say, Adam, is this what best friends are like? I feel like we're best friends.
If it were, would that make this whole thing easier for you to tolerate?
I don't know what you mean, this whole thing, but I can tolerate anything. I can certainly tolerate you, because we're best friends.
Tolerate anything, you say?
Sure.
Kind of...
I love swimming. I can tolerate that. I love woodworking. I can tolerate that.
Can you breathe underwater?
Can't everyone?
No. Interesting.
Well, I can only breathe underwater for an hour, but I have to hold my breath when I do it.
So it is more an enhanced lung capacity rather than the ability to filter the oxygen out of the water.
Sure.
Have you tried staying under for longer to see if you can extend the limits of your endurance?
I don't know.
Would you like to test that?
Not right now.
Okay, then. If you should change your mind, we have nothing but time.
Okay, but I think I'm gonna keep my mind the way it is. I don't want to lose it.
Indeed.
Adam, one assumes over the course of a couple of weeks aboard ship that everyone will get to know everyone else pretty well. Will you please describe for us kind of how Adam Brada presents himself, what he looks like?
He's normal human, about 6.5 foot tall, but extremely thin. 40-ish, brown hair with the Paulie from The Sopranos has the kind of the white wings. He's got that going on. Wears a extremely well cut suit that he always keeps that tie buttoned right up, every button done, unlike mine. It's a little bit creepy. Has that kind of feel, like an entitlement feel to him. Like he just expects things to play out the way he wants. But yeah, that's about it. Very boring.
Okay. So Duck, with a couple weeks aboard ship, aside from meeting your new best friend and being questioned a lot about your biology, how are you spending this time?
I think Duck spends maybe his nights just by himself in his room practicing Common and Goblin. He has some notes that his friend gave him to improve, just his language abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I think during the day he's always trying to make himself useful, but it doesn't seem like if there's not something wrong going on, and he can't be made useful. I think he'll start to poke around the ship and maybe specifically the cargo hold and just see what's on there and what interesting things might be down there.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at that. This is the cargo hold of the ship. You learn very quickly that this deck below the deck in which your bunk is where a couple of Warforged have been bunking in the room furthest aft on this level. This main kind of storage room here is filled with barrels, bags, crates. A little bit of investigation shows that these are filled with wine and whiskey and fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, lots of tobacco, salt, coffee, things that an island that's been under ice and a harsh winter for the last few months would be sorely in need of. There's also some piles of nicer textiles, fine silks, printed linens. In the middle of the deck, there is a hatch, which leads to a very cramped, tight, kind of stinky space with a little bit of water sloshing around in the bottom of it. Towards the bow of the ship on this deck, you find a door which leads to a different kind of storage room. This is where you find things that are being carried in case the ship needs repairs. There are some wood planks here, some extra material for sails, some tar, lots of nails, and a workbench with some simple tools on it.
Okay. I think while Duck makes his various trips down there, he, not having described him yet, he has this blue, egg that he carries around. Sometimes he brings it out, and he's just gonna inspect every wooden surface he can and maybe knock on it with the egg and see if anything happens. And I'm not really interested in anything else, ignoring, the metal people, that walk around here frequently.
Mhm.
Just really interested in the wooden stuff.
Okay. You do find a lot of wood. There's the ship itself, thousands of different individual planks. The barrels are all made of wood. The crates are all made of wood. There's the wood being stored in the workshop at the bow of the ship, etc. You find nothing interesting about any of it.
Interesting. That it's not interesting. And I think that's about it. Just, knocking on wood and improving his language skills, and I think that's about it.
Okay. And if you would please let the rest of your fellow passengers know who it is that they see walking around knocking on wood.
Sure. So, as mentioned before, he's a turtle, small turtle, about 3'6", green color, eyes are yellow, maybe like 65 pounds, and he's the age equivalent of like uh, old teenager, 18-year-old human in turtle years, so maybe like 15 turtle years. And he's wearing just very plain clothes, khaki pants, a white, I think, button-up shirt, and you might occasionally glimpse a blue egg if he knocks something with it. But other than that, not much going on, I think.
Okay. Moving then back to Deep.
So, I think still on the first day for Deep. Once breakfast has subsided and Deep has kind of noticed people going about their business, he heads into the mess kind of after it's cleared out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he's gonna find the cook, who he has not met yet.
Okay. As you approach the bar, the cook, who is busy drying pots and pans, kind of senses someone approaching, and he turns, sees you, and his face lights up. Whoa, ho, ho! There's a kind of face I've never seen before. How are you? I'm Aram.
Hi, Aram. My name is Deep. It's nice to meet you.
Well, it's very nice to meet you, sir. What takes you to the Red Isle?
Oh, I'm just trying to get some information. Honestly, I have some leads here that I'm chasing. We'll see if they pan out or not. But ultimately, just a new adventure, some new discovery.
Fantastic. Say, if you don't mind me asking, do you eat? Can you
Actually,
eat?
I don't eat. I don't know if I can eat. I haven't tried before. Hadn't been necessary.
Huh. That's so funny. I mean, boy, it's my favorite activity in the whole world. And he produces a big red apple from seemingly nowhere and just takes a big chomp and bite of it.
It sure does look like a lot of fun. Everybody I've ever been around just loves to eat, particularly when they say it's good. I don't know what that means, but you know.
Oh, well, boy, would you like to try something?
I'll do anything once.
Well, let's start simple. And he produces, seemingly from nowhere again, a second apple, which he places on the bar and slides across to you.
I feel like I've heard some stories about taking apples from strangers. Ah, well. He's just going to grab the apple and take a bite and see what happens.
Okay. That's kind of up to you.
So I think he takes a bite out, and this automaton's jaw is very much it's a full hinged jaw, and so
Mhm.
it's would have a clean cut, not like humans' teeth kind of pull out a bite. It's gonna really like crush, because it's probably like half-inch thick metal plates. That would be the equivalent of it. So it's really just gonna crush the crap out of this apple as he takes a chunk out of it. Uh, and I think that it's messy as all get out. There's no tongue, so there's no control of it. There's no teeth. There's no cheeks. It's just like dripping pieces
Mhm.
of apple flying out. Uh, and I think eventually he, you know, does what he can to chew it as best he can. He doesn't really have teeth, so um, I don't really know where it would go. I don't think Deep would know where it would go either once attempted to be swallowed. But I think whenever he finishes what he's doing, he turns to Aram and he's just like, yeah, nothing.
Fascinating. Truly and utterly fascinating.
You know what's even more fascinating? I I have some skills. I can actually. I wanted to offer some services to you if you happen to need them throughout this. I know it's only 2 weeks, but I can help create large amounts of water if you need any, of clean drinking water. I also, if for whatever reason some of the food stores happen to go bad, I have a way to remove any disease or parasites that may be infesting any food stores. So I just wanted to extend that to you, and I find it odd that I have abilities to work with and create food and drink. However, I do not require food and drink.
Ah, one of life's great ironies, eh? Well,
Indeed.
I sure will let you know if we need either of those services, but I gotta tell you, I keep a very well stocked and clean kitchen. I don't tend to let my food go bad.
Hey, I totally understand. We hadn't met before. I wanted to meet you, and I wanted to extend some services. Regardless, hopefully we don't need them. If we do, you know where to find me.
I will certainly keep you in mind. And he he kind of slyly hands you a towel while he's looking at the apple mess that's just dripping down the front of your chassis.
And I don't think Deep has the sense of sensation that
Mm-hmm.
humans do. So I think he finally is like, "Oh shit," and like looks down and clocks that he's got apple juice and bits of apple all over him, and he heads back to his room to kind of clean himself up. But I think the one other thing he would do on the first day before he kind of figures out what he's going to do the rest of the time is once he goes back to his room. Um, I think he is very accustomed to being in places that are hiding secrets. And that's kind of his default assumption of anywhere new that he goes is that there's a secret to be found here.
Mm-hmm.
So once he gets in his room, and it's empty at this point, right?
Yes.
I think that he's going to spend 10 minutes to ritually cast Detect Magic, which is concentration. It's up for 10 minutes. And then
Mm-hmm.
he's going to take a full lap of every deck up and down. And he's just looking to clock if there's what magic is on board this vessel.
Okay. You don't really see anything. It's the vessel itself is very completely boring. Even on your fellow passengers, you do get a sense that there's a little bit of magic behind. Well, let me just show you where. There we go. Behind the door directly to your south.
Okay. In this first day, has he clocked anybody going in and out of there yet, or no?
Not yet.
Okay. I think he sheepishly just tries the door handle. That knock, just like, is it unlocked? Is it locked?
The door is locked, and you immediately hear a voice from the other side of the door that asks, "Hello? Who's there?"
Oh, hi. My name's Deep. I'm just a curious little fellow. Honestly, sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. I wasn't sure where the store led.
The you hear footsteps crossing the room, and
I,
after a moment, the door kind of cracks open a little bit. On the other side, you see a very old and kind of stooped man, bald on top with kind of that ring of white hair around the side, clean shaven, spectacles. Absolutely nothing remarkable about this man at all. Unlike yourself, and the look on his face tells you that he is quite shocked to see something like you standing on the other side of the door.
how tall is this guy?
Stooped, he's about 5'4".
Okay. So I think Deep looks up at him. Deep is about 3'4" or so. He's a pretty small little robot himself. And kind of looks at him and is like, "Oh, hello. I'm sorry to bother you. I was just kind of curiously exploring. What's your name?"
My name is Hoban Madras. This is, and he kind of steps to the side and gestures behind him. This is my grandson, Rory. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. My name is Deep.
Deep. It's a very interesting name, young man. Is there something else that I can perhaps help you with?
Okay, so with the door open and detect magic still up, do I clock where it's coming from with what I can see? Is it in sight?
It is coming from his pocket.
Okay. I don't think I do anything with that. I just say to him, honestly, no. I was just doing some exploring. I can't not check what's behind doors. It's a bit of a problem sometimes.
I understand. And at that, you hear some smaller and faster footsteps coming across the room. And in the doorway, you see the face of a very young man. He's about 5 feet tall, with a shock of just super curly blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and the smile splitting his face is going almost from ear to ear. And he says, "What are you?"
I'm Deep. I'm a little adventuring companion. I like to discover things.
He steps out into the passageway, kind of to the dismay of his grandfather, who would much rather he just stay quiet and stay in the room. And he
So
really...
You're Rory, correct?
"Yeah, I'm Rory Madras. It's a pleasure." And he kind of gives you a little bow. And then his curiosity gets the better of him, and you find little fingers kind of poking and prodding and...
What you looking for?
"Well, I don't really know. I'm not even sure what you are."
Well, I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know that I know all the answers, but I was created about a number of years ago now. But I was given sentience and function on my own. And there are other... I don't really know what to call them per se. Other automatons that have a different level of independence. But I'm a free-thinking little mechanical man.
"You're brilliant. My father has told me stories about war machines that were built by the gnomes on Cantris. Are you one of those?
Ooh, I'm not a war machine, but I was built by a gnome.
I've met some gnomes. Very little people. Always very clever, though.
That they are. I do love a good gnome. They have such great stories, and the things they can create are truly magnificent.
Well, if they've created something like you, very, very impressive. He's still just like, like he just can't keep his hands to himself.
I think
He's like he's
like when
found
he
a new toy.
when he pokes my chest, like the next time that he goes to touch my chest, I'm gonna quickly close the chest enclosure for the bullseye lantern that I have in my chest. It's just gonna like flash open close. It's not lit,
He
but
snatches his hand back and laughs loudly.
it's like, I almost got you.
And as he snatches his hand back, you see him smell his fingers, and he says, "Do all automatons smell like apples?"
I think that Deep just says, I'll be honest with you. I can't smell, so I don't know how to help you. I don't know.
I should hope to find out someday.
I think there's another automaton on board. Maybe it. I don't know that he's quite as social as I am. So maybe keep your hands to yourself if you meet that one.
I shall do my best. And
Certainly.
with that, Hoban kind of reaches out and grabs the boy by the scruff. Just come now, Rory. Leave the poor thing alone. Back to your studies, please.
Oh, studies? What's he studying?
Rory kind of grumpily flumps back down in the chair he was seated in before, and he says, "Today I'm learning Elvish."
I think he says, I don't. Elvish is a good one to learn. It's pretty common out there. So I believe in you. And kind of bows to both of them and says, y'all have a nice day. And he heads off. Continues his pass with the detect magic up. But I think the rest of the journey, he's going to spend as much time as he can with Anya, just trying to get a basic understanding of like the tools that are involved in like navigating by sea. He has a deep knowledge of maps and cartography, but one's the creation side, one's the leveraging it side. So I think he's just trying to, the few opportunities that he can get alone with her, he's trying to learn whatever he can.
Okay. She is able to give you a little time, like after dinners and such, when things kind of calm down for the night. By the time the journey is over, you have not a proficiency or an expertise, but at least a rudimentary knowledge of how to use just standard navigator's tools aboard ship.
Cool. And then I think in the rest of my free time, early in the trip, he would also offer to the captain, just so you know, I do have some ability to heal people. Should anyone find the need, do find me. I'm happy to assist in any way that I can.
You don't see much of the captain. He shows up for the evening meal most nights.
Okay.
He seems mostly and oddly absent, being the captain of the ship. And you find that the real work on the ship is being directed by the first mate.
Okay. I think that, with Deep's naturally perceptive and insightful nature, he would kind of clock that fairly early and extend the same offer to Anya of like, hey, if anyone gets injured, please find me. I'm happy to assist. There's no need to use any medical supplies. I can keep things easy for us.
All right. She's very happy to know that.
Yeah. And then beyond that, I think, he still has a lot of his own downtime. He's just going to spend that kind of watching people. I think that he's really interested that the captain's not doing much. And so he's trying to, he spends a lot of the time on the deck just looking out. I don't think he likes to be boxed up in a room that doesn't have anything for him to learn or find. It's just kind of a wasted effort for him. And so he's on the deck and he's kind of just trying to clock like what's going on in there and paying attention.
There are a few times when you see the captain coming down for the evening meal that you find he's not very sure-footed. Almost stumbling down the stairs.
Can I, on one of those attempts, as I see him kind of stumbling a little bit, kind of rush up and just, can I help you?
I'm fine, lad.
Okay.
Just
when he's stumbling about, could Edinburgh make a medicine check to see if it's an illness or if he's just not got his sea legs yet?
Yeah, give me a medicine check.
Boop.
Could Deep do the same?
Good, because I screwed that right up.
Sure.
Ooh, worse.
Adam, give me a perception check.
Okay, I think I'm slightly worse at that, but hopefully I'll roll better. Oh, yeah, about the same. Oh, there we
Two
go.
natural ones I've rolled, guys.
Jesus. At least it's not in combat. You're getting out of the way now.
Yeah, get the bad rolls out early.
That's how that works.
Adam, your first instinct is to wonder if the man is suffering from some disease. Perhaps some inner ear affliction that's affecting his balance. But as he passes you in the hallway, you know immediately what's wrong with him as the smell of years of drunkenness assault your senses.
There we go. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think at that comment from him, though, he's like, okay, well, if you ever need anything, I'm here to help.
Well, maybe I could use your help.
And Deep's eyes kind of light up, like they shine a little brighter.
You're a bit small, ain't you?
Indeed.
Have you met our cook?
I have, yes.
Young Master Buck. He's quite good at what he does. And somewhere in his kitchen, he keeps a case of homemade blackberry brandy that I am very fond of, and he is very stingy with. And he kind of flicks his nose as he says this.
I think as best. So Deep's eyes are these really they're large golden lights, and so he doesn't really have that full movement that humans' eyes do with the eyelids, and so his wink is he turns off one of his bulbs, flashes it.
Nice. If you could find a way to procure for me a bottle or two of this wonderful concoction, I could see my way into finding a few gold coins into your... And he kind of looks you up and down and says, pockets?
Pouches.
Pouches. And he flicks his nose again.
I'll do what I can, Captain.
Very appreciated. And he kind of puts his hand on your head and uses you for leverage as he steps out around you and stumbles his way back to the galley.
Right on. I think with that information, he's gonna go. He doesn't really eat, doesn't really hang out in the galley that much. He's gonna go back to his room and he's gonna wait until Samson is there, and we'll have a conversation with him when that time comes.
Okay. We are going to take a quick break, let's say 10, 15 minutes. Let everybody offload some caffeine, refresh the beverages, that kind of thing. But we'll be back soon. Stick with us, and we'll continue our journey to the Isle of Red.
Can't wait.
All right, like it or not, we're back. Hope everybody had a good break. Deep, when we were about to take a break, you said that you wanted some one-on-one time with Samson.
Yep.
So
whenever
let me-
we're find ourselves in our, hodgepodge bunk room that they've put us in, where it's just us, just gonna say to him, so have you noticed the captain at all?
Would I have seen the captain? Probably.
Um, you've probably seen him coming and going around mealtime, but that's about it.
I've seen him around.
I got a interesting request from him, although I have my suspicions about him in general. He doesn't seem to be around very much.
Oh,
Yeah, and he asked me to do something that I think would upset one of his crewmen. However,
hmm,
my curiosity is piqued nonetheless.
understandable. What
Are you
exactly did he ask you to do?
well? Do you agree not to spread this amongst the crew? Keep this between us for now.
Automaton's honor.
My guy, my bot. Uh, but okay, he it appears the cook has some uh, liquor that he's makes himself that the captain would like, and the cook is quite stingy with it. I'm not particularly good at lurking about myself or really convincing people of many things, but I have, I think, an idea. If you're, are you okay at kind of sneaking about?
Samson looks down at his 6'7", 6'8" warforged body. I'm okay, but it's hard not to notice.
Ah, fair. Well,
I'm good with words.
okay. Well, perhaps we can just maybe go to the cook and just learn some information about the captain and some things, and I may appreciate some support with this.
Happy to
I have a
help.
nonchalant plan, though.
Just let me know what you
So
need from me.
excellent. So I think I kind of just walk him through this loose idea I have of like, I noticed that the cook is cleaning all of the dishes himself. He doesn't have like many hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I have prestidigitation, which is great at cleaning small things. And I don't eat, and I kind of already have this mild rapport with the cook.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk Samson through like, I think that if I come in after a mealtime, I can volunteer my services from him and show him how quickly we can clean the dishes, perhaps butter him up a little bit, and just see if we can learn anything about the captain. Not really using my intent is not to try and find and steal this liquor right away. My intent is to just butter up the cook with helping him, and any social support would be appreciated.
Well, I'd be happy to help out. Did the captain promise you anything in return for stealing this liquor?
Yeah, a little bit of gold, which I'd be happy to split with you. At this point, though, I'm less interested in the gold and more interested in the story here.
Sounds good.
Cool. So I think the next day, after breakfast, after we've seen everybody clear out, I grab um, Samson and we head to the cook.
Okay. Let's see. We'll come back to that in just a moment.
Cool.
Deep, if you would please, aside from what we've already heard, would you give us a physical description of your character?
Yes, certainly. So Deep is about 3 feet 2 inches, bipedal, robotic. He is humanoid, resembles in ways of the gnomes in his stature and kind of the length of his limbs. He's made with a brass metal. It's very noticeable. He has a leather vest on. You could very much see his open chest, and you see a circle in his chest that has a closed metal plate that he can at will open and close it. His eyes are bright yellow gold lights, and he wears a tattered old like straw hat. He doesn't really need to keep the sun off of himself, but it was common in his previous workplace as he was going around dig sites and trying to excavate old ruins. And he noticed that all the workers in the long hot sun were wearing hats, and he decided to pick up a hat himself. And then, yeah, he oftentimes he just carries around his full backpack of gear, even though he knows that he has this chest. He's just so used and accustomed to having all of his equipment with him at all times that he's just kind of strolling around with it most days. I think there are times when he drops his bag, but it's just kind of in his nature to hoard a little bit.
Okay. And Samson, aside from this current scheme that Deep has brought to you, with a little over 2 weeks on board ship, how are you passing your time?
He's going to spend time getting to know Deep a little bit, spending time with him, as this is the first Autognome / Warforged he's encountered. First, or very few he's met, and so he's going to spend time with Deep, and hoping that this scheme, for lack of a better word, will help give him a connection. And then he'll spend time getting to know the crew individually, what their tics are, their likes, dislikes, try and integrate himself into finding these things that help him get to know people and hopefully help him in any spots that he needs. But he'll just keep a sentry's watch almost on the top of the deck most of the days. I feel like during meal times you can find him still going to the mess hall, as that's where everyone's going to be. And he's making sure he's well integrated in the crew, the passengers, all that stuff.
Okay. I would say over the course of those 2 weeks, with you spending so much time standing sentry on the deck, crewman Harry has probably attempted to make use of you a time or two. And it's usually not more than, help me move this, or hold this rope, pull on it when I tell you. Things like that. Mm-hmm. But, he seems almost enamored with having another strong back on the deck that maybe doesn't talk too much and just does what he's asked.
Yep. Samson has no issue helping out where he can, chatting away a little bit, trying to glean information from anyone that he can use later.
Mm-hmm. You do notice that the work you're being asked to help with is work that he should probably be asking Elias to help with. And you notice that while Elias does chip in occasionally, for the most part, he's much more interested in playing music and chatting up the guests than he is doing actual crew work.
Yeah.
And would you describe for me, please, Samson, as he appears?
Sorry, I had to cough real quick. Yeah, so Samson stands about 6'7", 6'8". He's basically the opposite of Deep. If Deep is this short, statured gnome who's got this almost less expressive face, Samson is designed or was created with a face that is more expressive and more comforting to talk to. He seems like someone you can talk to and trust, and if they talk to you, it's more human in the face than a robot that was built like Deep. And again, and he travels very light. He has his bag and his armor and weapons, but he doesn't carry much on him. Physically, he's this gray blue metal with almost wood integrated into the plating, where things look like they might have been broken and sort of sealed over, fixed in a pinch. And then you see integrated chain links from his chain shirt. And then he wears this green hood that he pulls up over his head most of the times.
Okay. And finally, let's go back to Tezos. Tezos, with 2 weeks on board
Yes.
this, not very entertaining ship, how are you passing your days? How are you passing your nights? What
Yeah.
are you doing?
Basically, Tezos is just going to work out, help the crew, do manual labor, uh, maintain his equipment, kind of do an inventory at night and in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Seems
But just mostly keep to
very
himself.
regimented, right?
Maybe have a conversation. Yes, exactly. He'll observe things, see who's talking to who, who's communicating, who spends time with each other
Mm-hmm.
for any length of time, things like that. But for most part, he'll keep to himself, keep his conversations light, not get into too much detail about himself or
Mm-hmm.
things in general.
Okay. And can you give us a physical description, please?
Sure. He's above average height for a human, so he's about 6'2". Dark complexion, more spent time in the sun as opposed to anything.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely has a military presence, has a military vibe to him. He's wearing, his old military garb, so he's got like a leather jerkin, pants, uh, um, military gauntlet, carries around this big shield with weird symbols on it. Has a large backpack that he carries with him on his back. He's clean shaven, but has a full kind of beard, goatee, or more like a full beard,
Mm-hmm.
mustache. You know,
Okay.
Yep. But he does have an interesting feature is he does have golden eyes, which seem to be very kind of focused and piercing.
Mm. All right. So aside from getting to know the other passengers over a couple of weeks, you get to know the ship's crew a little better. Captain Pel Lazaro, human, has longish white hair and a hard-lined face that shows the effects of years of wind, sun, salt, and cold. His rugged exterior belies the nature of a man who is quick to laugh and lives to heckle his crew. Captain Lazaro enjoys a drink while regaling his crew and passengers with tales of the sea, generally over dinner. When Elias breaks out his concertina after supper most nights, the captain is often the first to dance and sing along. First mate Anya Aceris, human. The driving force behind most of the actual work aboard the icebreaker. She has the undying loyalty of her crew. While never cruel to her mates, she is quick to rebuke failure with a stern tone. Approaching middle age, but still young enough to work circles around most of the younger deckhands. Outright deadly with her trusty rapier. Crewman Elias Raster, human. Newest and youngest crewman aboard the icebreaker, Elias does everything he can to help out. He may not have all of the intricacies of sailing down yet, but he's eager and he's learning. He carries with him a small concertina that he is surprisingly adept with, and he seems to have an endless knowledge of shanties from every sea on the globe. Elias is very popular amongst the fairer sex in port towns far and wide. Crewman Vex Stonefoot, the Crow, a dwarf. Vex has been on the icebreaker almost as long as the captain himself. For all intents and purposes, Vex lives in the crow's nest of the ship, as it's very difficult for him to climb up and down from the vantage. Vex's crow's nest is perhaps a bit larger than the average crow's nest, with enough room for a comfortable chair and a small bedroll. The nest has a lid that Vex can close to keep out the weather or to sleep in peace. He uses a basket on a rope to bring up his meals, which the crew brings from the galley. Crewman Aram Buck, the cook, halfling. Small and stout, Aram Buck is a cook who can do a lot with very little, and is able to turn the cheapest of ingredients into hearty and delicious meals. He has a special talent for pies, cakes, and pastries, several varieties of which can always be found in the icebreaker's pantry. Aram loves to talk about food and crafts some of the finest blackberry brandy you're likely to find. Crewman Harry Aldwith, human. Strong and quiet. Harry is an ardent seaman who is there for pay and couldn't imagine ever working on dry land. The sea is his home, and he will serve aboard the icebreaker until a better opportunity comes along. Your other passengers. Hoban Madras, human. Hoban is an elderly gentleman, stooped and fragile. His family is mostly gone, and he's now raising his grandson. They're traveling to the Isle of Red in an attempt to find work for both himself and the boy. Rory Madras, human, a fair-skinned boy of 12. Rory is shy and reserved. He's not looking forward to all this work his grandfather keeps talking about. All right. Now then, let's talk heist. Deep and Samson, what time of day would you like to approach the cook?
So I think that I would shoot for after breakfast, when he's cleaning up after breakfast before he starts getting ready for anything else.
Okay. So after breakfast one morning, Adam, Duck, and Tezos, would you still be in the galley? Would you have returned to your bunks? Would you be on the deck? Would you be exploring the ship? Where would you be?
Adam isn't a huge fan of the sea and the fresh air, so he would almost certainly still be sitting at the table, kind of digesting his breakfast and watching sort of whoever happens to pass by. So he would almost certainly still be here.
All right. Tezos, what about you?
Tezos he'd be up on the deck. He would have finished his food quickly, drank his coffee, and upstairs or headed to his bunk.
Okay. What about Duck?
And I think Duck's still poking around, knocking on wood with his egg. Maybe during this time, he's gone above deck and started like maybe trying to knock on what's it called? The steering wheel of the ship. I forget what it's called. But going up there and getting into more maybe sensitive areas where he's not typically supposed to be, I guess.
Okay. Certainly, when you attempt to knock on the wheel, Anya kind of doesn't slap, but kind of pushes your hand away, and she says, "Probably best you don't touch that."
Why?
It's what I steer the ship with.
Okay.
It's what keeps us going the right direction.
Can I knock on it just a little bit?
She kind of gives you a funky look. Give me a perception or a persuasion roll. Sorry.
Okay.
With a 5. Her eyes narrow and she says, "No."
Can I do it when you're not up here?
I would recommend that even less.
Okay. Recommendation noted. And I think Duck will just start poking around other like railings, whatever.
Okay. Deep and Samson. Making our way to the galley, I presume?
Indeed.
Indeed, yep.
All right. I shall move your tokens over there. Apologies, Roll20 is being exceptionally slow for me right now.
Mine is also.
Okay, it's just after breakfast, and you enter the galley to find Aaron Buck hard at work washing dishes, while Adambrata remains at the galley table, just scribbling something in a small notebook.
Okay. Deep's gonna nod to everybody as he walks in, and he's gonna head straight to Aram. Where let's say Aram. I noticed you're always washing all these dishes alone after cooking all of the meals. I know it's your job, but let me try something. And I think that he's gonna go over to wherever if it's behind the bar, he'll walk around the bar without even asking, and
Okay.
he's just gonna touch one of the grossest pots and cast prestidigitation and clean it.
Okay. Let's see, that would put you about here,
Okay.
where the dishes were being done.
Cool.
As the pot seems to clean itself, Aram kind of crosses his arms and nods a little bit. And he says, "That's a pretty neat trick."
You want to take a little break for a couple minutes? Let me handle this. I'm happy to do it. So no trouble at all.
I'm certainly not going to say no to some help with some dishes. Well, I guess that means I can just start cleaning other things. And with that, he starts scrubbing the stovetop.
Sure. So as I'm just flying through, I mean, every 6 seconds, prestidigitation. I'm just going to be chatting with him and, I've been trying to get to know as much of the crew as best I can. It's hard to get time with the captain. What do you know about it?
Our good captain. He's a good man. I think he's feeling his age a little lately. if I had to be honest. I've been working for the man a long time, and... Well, you've probably noticed Anya does most of the actual running of the ship these days.
Yeah, I did notice. Can I insight check that just to, like, what I want to know is, like, is he telling me the full story?
Sure, yeah, please do.
Mm,
10. He seems forthright.
okay. Yeah, I have noticed that. It's, it's a mixed feeling. Having worked in kind of hierarchical organizations that I believe are similar-ish to, how a ship functions. It's just a curious thing to have a leader that seems well liked by the crew and the passengers on board, yet doesn't seem to contribute as much.
Well, in his younger days, he was a fierce and gifted sailor. He, between you and me, he took this ship as a prize.
Really? How long ago was that?
Oh, this would have been 35, 40 years.
Wow. Yeah, it's I like to help folks. As I said, you've seen I have some magic on my own, and I like to just help people as best I can and learn as much as I can. It feels like the captains need some help of some kind, and I don't know what's of use.
Well, I will say this. He is as loyal to his ship and his crew as we are to him. And none of us would ever say this to his face, but there comes a point in a man's life where he should seek a home, a companion, maybe a good dog. He's been out on the sea a long time, and I think there's only so much of that life that a man can live before it begins to take its toll.
I understand. Well, in fairer news, I've heard quite the tales of your abilities as a chef and with pastries and beverages, and I only wish that I could try what you're able to create and appreciate it.
I wish you could too. I express myself best through my cooking, and I find it's how I relate to people, by seeing what they enjoy and what they shy away from. It's how I get to know them, and you and... He kind of motions over towards Samson standing at the other side of the room. You and your friend are enigmas to me. Much harder to read than most of the people that I meet. You're very friendly, and I enjoy your company quite a bit. But I feel I'm unable to know you, truly know you, because I don't know what you like to eat.
That's an excellent point. Something that I haven't tried before, and perhaps it will yield a different result, is alcohol. I've tried water in the past, but to no avail. Is there any around that maybe I could sample it? Perhaps something will land.
He steps over behind the bar with a bit of a twinkle in his eye, and he says, "We, sir, are a fully stocked bar." And he reaches below and he pulls out a corked bottle. With his teeth, he rips the cork from it, produces a small glass, and pours you about a third of a glass of something deep red in color. And he kind of
I-
slides it down the bar towards you and just stands there holding the bottle with both hands expectantly.
I grab it. That's it. What is this? You want to tell me before or after? You want me to try and guess?
Please.
I think that having seen people at bars shoot drinks before, he's going to turn it back and shoot it. I imagine it hits the back of his throat and kind of falls through some of the cracks in his structure is not like an enclosed form with like an exoskeleton. There's some exposure that's happening. So I think that infrequently throughout those exposed parts, you see just bits of this liquid kind of drain out.
A little dribble on the floor between your feet.
Yeah. And I Deep does his best to try to perceive it, to no avail.
Okay.
And says, I'll be honest with you. My guess is that this is some of that famous blackberry brandy that I've heard of. But I'll be honest with you again. I still couldn't taste it, unfortunately. And I'm sorry to have wasted it if it is that fine blackberry brandy.
He reaches over and he kind of gently takes the glass back out of your fingers and turns it upside down on the bar. And he puts the cork back in the bottle and he says, that was some of the finest pre-war red wine to come out of Priest.
Ooh, I feel even worse now.
And he sets the bottle back under the bar and he crosses his arms and he gets right in your face and he says, who told you to ask about my blackberry brandy?
Nobody told me to ask about it. I just heard about it, and having tried an unknown liquor, my assumption was that it was the one that I've heard people talk about.
Give me a deception check.
Oh gosh. Okay, it could be worse.
He seems to relax a little. He says, well, I suppose my blackberry brandy is fairly famous these days.
It is. It has quite some tales.
There's rarely a port we pull into where someone on the dock isn't asking about it.
Have you thought about selling it?
You know, it's just finding the right blackberries is so hard that I find on any given year, I'm only able to produce a very small amount. About a case. I tend to keep it for special occasions. Generally, when we finish a long journey, we'll crack open a bottle. When we pull into port in the city of Gad soon, that's a good excuse to crack open a bottle. It's definitely not for everyday drinking. Far too special for that.
I understand. Well,
give me a
thank you for your
perception
time.
check. Give me a quick
Okay.
perception check.
Oh, another nat one. That's 3 tonight, guys.
Oof.
Woo! Okay.
I noticed nothing.
With that, he produces a rag from somewhere and just kind of starts humming to himself as he's polishing the bar top.
While all this is going on, and particularly while Aram is distracted attempting to feed a robot alcohol, Edinburgh is going to have a quick look around and see if he can find any kind of bleach or natural corrosives within grabbing range.
Give me a perception check.
Perspicacity. Natty 1.
Really?
No, it's just not doing anything. I'm just waiting. Oh, no, not bad. 9.
You don't see anything, especially not within grabbing range, being that you're sitting at a table where people eat. Logic would tell you, as clean as it is in here, there is a bucket of lye somewhere in this galley.
Would I be able to sneak around and try and find it while they're distracted with their drink shenanigans?
Give me a stealth check.
I think deep at this point is
24.
kind of- Whoo! Big money, big money. I was just going to say, I think Deep is tried to wave over Samson and kind of try to loop Samson into this conversation about drink and food.
Okay.
Just to continue kind of loosely probing Aram.
Okay. We can do that. Let's move Samson up to where the conversation's happening. We'll put him right there. And Adam, you could, at this point, you could launch bottle rockets out of your bum, and I don't think the cook would notice.
Superb. So yeah, I'll sneak to wherever it's stored and just take enough lie that I think I could accomplish what I have in mind. Wouldn't be too much.
Do you have something in which to put a bit of lie?
That would be why I was using such loose terms. I have a purse which currently just has my book and pencil in it. I could probably drop a bit in there, maybe.
Probably don't want to put lie in with paper.
Yeah. Oh god.
Unless that paper is evidence you're trying to.
It is not.
Give me another perception check.
Yeah.
14.
14.
Okay. Under the bar, not far from where you find the lie, you do find a collection of smallish jars with corks.
Nice.
That seal them closed. A number of them are empty and clean.
All good things. So okay, I will snatch one of them, fill it full of lye, and then tuck it away somewhere.
Okay.
Close at hand.
Add small jar of lye to your inventory and give it a weight of 0.25.
Okay.
Deep and Samson.
Yeah, so I kind of grabbed Samson. Like, Samson, are you able to taste food or drink?
Yes, of course.
Really?
My current form doesn't require sustenance to maintain myself, but I'm built with taste receptors.
Huh.
Fascinating.
I guess Torvir missed that.
Well, I don't know who Torvir is. Aram reaches into the pantry at the far end of the room and comes shuffling back with kind of a smallish pie. And he excitedly crams it into Samson's hand and says, "Tell me what you think of this."
So while this is happening, I'm gonna just kind of walk around the back of the bar and continue prestidigitating anything that looks dirty at all. But I'm trying to get a bead on where I think this blackberry brandy might be.
Okay. Samson, first off, Samson, do you ingest the pie?
Yes.
All right. Give me a perception check.
Roll 20 doesn't want to scroll.
That's pretty typical. 7.
A 12.
Okay. Oh, it rolled twice for you. We'll take the 12.
Yeah, I'd click twice.
Yep. Okay. The first thing you get is spice. It is nutmeg. It is clove. It is cinnamon. It is very sweet. Then you get the freshness of crisp apples. You get toastiness and butter from the crust. This is, by any estimation, an excellent apple pie.
Your apple
Now-
pie is delicious.
Ah! You can taste! That's amazing! And he reaches for the same bottle of wine again. Pours you a small
You just
glass.
hear Deep resigningly say, "Shit." It's like, really feel like I'm missing out now.
Deep, give me a perception check.
Not a natural one. Not a natural one. Not a natural one. Oh,
13. Okay. You get a good scan of the very deep collection of bottles under the bar. You see many that look like wine based on the bottle that you saw earlier. You see some that are... The bottle itself is more squarish, corked. Some of them sealed with wax. All a little different in size and appearance, color of glass, etc. You don't see anything that would stand out to you as something that Aram might consider more special than the wine that he had you try.
Mm-hmm. And it also kind of sounded like he would have several bottles if he makes a case at a time. So I'm kind of assuming that they would be similarly bottled and probably together wherever they are.
And you see nothing like that under the bar.
Okay.
Adam, give me a perception check.
$19.
Fantastic. While you were doing your business behind the bar, you know what sneaky looks like. And you immediately get the feeling that Deep and Samson are up to something. You might not know what, but they're up to no good. And you've clocked it.
Also, because he's been listening to this conversation the whole time. He's been sitting kind of at the table listening to everything. He knows that he's assumed at this point that they're searching for this brandy.
Right.
He's not entirely sure why.
Okay. At this point, Aram is just finding things around the kitchen and forcing them into Samson's hands. What do you think of this? Try this. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah, he just consumes whatever he's given.
I say
Anything, food or anything.
As he's trying all of this different stuff, when I feel like Aram is at his most excited during all of this, I want to say, I wonder what he'd think about your blackberry brandy. Maybe he'll get a chance.
This is a special occasion.
Well, I'll tell you, we do throw a pretty good party on our last night aboard ship, and I will be opening a bottle then. You'll certainly get to try a bit.
Sounds like quite the experience, Samson.
It does. I'm just a little disappointed I can't taste it sooner.
Well,
I'm disappointed I can't taste it at all.
like I said, takes a special occasion to crack open a bottle, and once it's open, it has a very kind of short shelf life, you know? It goes from being perfect to less than perfect, really over the course of about an hour and a half. So, as much as I'd like to crack one open and let you sample it now, by the time the party rolls around, it would be worthless.
That's interesting. Do you have to? I don't know anything about alcoholic beverages at all. Does that require special storage?
It should be kept somewhere cool and dark. Ideally, it would be kept somewhere that doesn't jostle too much, but we're aboard a ship traveling north. The waves, they are what they are.
Yeah. Interesting challenge.
Give me another perception check.
Jeez. I can't roll over a 10.
13's not bad. With a 13, you notice that when he starts talking about someplace cool and dark, his eyes flit to the door up here.
Got it.
Just a bit of a tell.
Mm-hmm. I think that Deep is having kind of picked up on that last tell. Is just going to continue whatever, making conversation until it naturally dies out, and then he's going to, bye. This was really nice chatting with you. I'm glad I could help out. Happy to help anytime.
Certainly saved me time with those dishes. Thanks a bunch.
And then once he's gonna head back to probably his quarters and await Samson. I don't know if they walk out together or if they stagger it.
Mm-hmm.
Deep is not gonna wait for them to walk out together, but if Samson wants to walk with him, it's cool.
Samson, do you go with him?
Samson's not done trying yet.
Okay.
Cool.
Aaron, do you think there's any possible way? You have a full case. Do you think it's possible that I may be able to have a bottle? I will come down and I will help clean up after every meal. And to be fair, I haven't used any supplies. Be a fair trade.
Boy, I just don't know. I mean, those bottles are mostly spoken for. We have a number of trips that we make through the spring and summer, and, we have just enough bottles to do it. Give me a persuasion.
Oh, it's when it's taking its time.
Yeesh.
That's roll 20 for you.
Yeah.
Try it again real quick.
Fun fact, the 20 in roll 20 is because any action you do takes at least 20 seconds.
A 21. A 21. What was the natural roll on that?
15.
15.
15. He sighs deeply, and he says, if the circumstances were any different, if you were any other being on the world, I would tell you to get out of my galley. But I've never met an automaton that could actually taste. It's against my better judgment, but wait here. And he goes through the door.
Thank you, sir.
Behind the galley. And you hear very clearly the clatter of bottles being moved. And he comes back out and Looking at it kind of longingly, he sighs again. And he holds it out to you. And it's a smallish bottle. Very bulbous. With a thin neck that comes up. Corked. Wax sealed. And a handmade label kind of wrapped around it and stitched into place that says Buck's Finest. He kind of pats you on the hand as he hands it to you, and he says, "Now, you enjoy that. At least I hope you will. I'm very proud of it. This year's batch was perfect. Just do me a favor. Don't tell the captain or really anybody on the crew that I've handed out a bottle. It could create problems."
Understood.
And he goes back to his cleaning duties.
I'll go back to me and Deep's room.
As Samson goes past, Edinbrato would attempt to intercept and lift the bottle from his pocket.
Okay.
He's gonna
Obviously-
hold. He would have been holding the bottle, knowing that this is a rare thing. He also doesn't have pockets.
Two excellent reasons why I would not be able to pickpocket it. Fair enough.
All right.
He will see that and just let you keep on trucking.
Yeah, you would notice he just has
The
the
cloak.
hood on him, the hooded cloak.
Okay.
All right, Samson, so you rejoin Deep in your quarters with a bottle of blackberry brandy.
That I do. Hello, little friend. And I'll just hold the bottle out.
Wheat, you might be muted.
Oh, I was. I say, oh my gosh, you are good with people. Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe you got it. Huh.
Like I
Oh,
said,
that's interesting.
once you get to know the people,
Yeah, that's pretty
easy
amazing. Well, here, let me tell you this. The captain said that he would give us some coin for a bottle or two of that.
yes.
I get the sense that may not be the best idea. What are your thoughts?
I also get that sense. And he made it seem very rare. We may be able to, if we decide to part with it, get more for it off the ship.
I would agree with you, and perhaps it might even be worth holding on to share with someone in the right moment. There could be a
Also
lot
true.
said for something like that, from my understanding.
Deep is a romantic. Who knew?
Spends a lot of time reading and writing. Lives in his head.
Fair.
He says, "Wow."
So do you really not have... Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I think you should hold on to it. You were the one that found it, or ultimately got it. And again, I don't want to be responsible for it, knowing that the captain came to me to try and get something like that. So just hold on to that and do with it as you see fit.
Understood. Maybe ask the captain how much gold he's willing to part with.
Okay, I'll prod him a
We
little
can
bit.
judge that.
Will do. You were saying
Right.
something though.
Yes. Do you not have taste receptors?
No, I don't. I get some sense, some stronger sense. I can pick up on those. It's being. I was designed for discovery, exploration, and artifact protection. So the nature of me is that I'm out in the wilds. I'm in old places. I'm trying to find things. So, smell has a it's very useful. But taste is not something that my creator found necessary. And it's not so. Thus, I don't believe that he added them. I wasn't aware that automatons could taste.
Yes. The specific type of automaton I specialize in assuring people that things are okay.
Oh.
So, luckily, I was one of the units who sometimes would need to test things for poisons or other things like that.
Oh, fascinating. That certainly sounds useful. Makes a lot of sense for you.
It is.
I'll be honest. I'm a little jealous, but that's okay. I'm glad that we were able to work together so well on this.
I am too.
Bonding through criminality. Gotta love it.
A classic.
Classic.
We're officially Decepticons now. No longer Autobots.
I do think the last thing that I would want to do is at some point try and chat with the captain alone again, and just kind of say, so I might have an idea of where I might be able to acquire the thing that we had previously discussed. However, I wanted to know exactly what it was worth to you.
You've been on the ship long enough now that you know that the captain most of the time can be found in his quarters off the main deck. So you give a knock, and it takes him a minute, and you hear some stumbling footsteps come to the door. As the door opens, the first thing you notice is that he's already got a bottle in his hand. Not a bottle of the brandy, but a bottle.
What's the state of his room, his quarters? Is it messy? Does it look like a hoarder's nest? Is it in disarray, or is it pretty tidy and well kept?
Give me a perception.
Big money, big money, big money. Oh my god.
7. Okay. His room is surprisingly neat considering the state of the man himself. The only thing you find that would be considered even slightly messy would be some papers strewn loosely on a writing desk.
Okay.
Yeah. He ushers you into the room and kind of, not very sneakily peeks his head out the door, looks left and right, closes the door behind him. It apparently doesn't occur to him that Anya is directly above his quarters and can see the whole deck. Nonetheless, he ushers you into the room. And he says, yes, it's very good to see you again. And he kind of takes a swig from the bottle and stumbles over and puts it on his desk. As he sets it down and pulls his hand away, he kind of hovers his hands around it for a moment as if he's afraid it's going to tip over. Once he's sure it's in place, he turns back to you and he says, how goes your adventure? Do you have anything for me?
Oh, not yet. I do have an idea, though. Of where
immediate disappointment. Just immediate disappointment
located.
On his face.
It's not done yet. But before I do something that might cause problems for someone somewhere, I have no idea what the ramifications of this might be, but I'd like to know exactly how much a bottle or two of this is worth to you.
Ah, I see. We've come to the squeeze, have we? Well, he walks over to his a foot chest that's, at the foot of his bed.
When hold on, let me double check something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. It has a verbal component. I'm good.
Okay. He opens his footlocker and pulls out what is very obviously a coin purse, and he gives it a little jingle. Sounds like it's pretty heavy. And he turns back to you, and he kind of slowly shambles in your direction, and he says, "So, my devious little friend, what would you say your troubles are worth on a per-bottle basis?"
Well, I believe that each item, artifact, whatever it may be, has its own value. And I know not the value of this particular bottle. So, in turn, I ask you, what is this particular bottle worth to you?
He squints at you like he's sizing you up. And he kind of gives the bag another kind of shake in his hand, and he says, "What would you say to 2 gold a bottle?"
I immediately want to insight check him and try and get a feel for how much he's lowballing me.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh my god.
As far as you can tell, 2 gold for a bottle of brandy is a super fair price.
It does sound tempting. I am in need of some coin. What would you say to it in the event that I am able to acquire it?
Of course, of course.
What would you say to 3 gold and 2 silver?
He kind of runs his fingers through his beard. And he says, "I think I could see fit to 3 gold even."
Okay. I think that I can work with that in the event that I am able to deliver. No promises, of course.
Capital.
Well, it was, I think also at this point, kind of during this conversation, Deep's just been kind of lightly, not hard pacing back and forth, but just kind of like not standing in one place per se. And I think that I want to angle myself closer to the desk and just try and glance down at what's on the desk, the obvious stuff on top.
Okay. Give me a perception check.
There we go, dirty 20.
Holy shit. Okay. One thing stands out to you.
Okay.
It is a letter that was once sealed with a deep red wax, the remnants of which you can see kind of broken on the desktop around it. The letterhead itself bears a certain seal, a red stamp in the shape of a shield, with a rampant bear in the center of it. Give me a history check.
Okay. I'm pretty good at that.
14. You know this to be the seal of the royal house of Carindel, the rulers of the Red Isle.
I don't know if there may be a role associated to this. What I would like to kind of infer, try to put together, seeing this, having heard that there are rumors about all of what's going on with the royal family. Is it my feeling that this is an official missive in regards to the news that's been going on? Or that too big of a jump?
It does well with a 20 on perception. It could be nothing else than something very official from the palace. It's nothing else would have that seal. Nothing else would have that stamp.
Cool.
And I've got more for you, but give me a second because I need to find it. There we go. is. Did it go? Did it not go? Hold on. Sorry. Roll 20. Okay. It should be there now. There it is. With your non-biological eyes and the exceptionally good look you got, this is what you read. With all sorrow and regret, we must report the recent death of His Royal Highness King Alexei Carindel of the Red Kingdom. Let it be known to all and sundry that His Royal Highness Prince Alexandre Carindel, heir to the throne of the Red Kingdom, is actively being sought and is considered to be missing. His Royal Highness the Prince was last known to be traveling within the Kingdom of Keeneland, accompanied by his caretaker and mentor, Lord Thomas Wrightingbell, under the grace of His Royal Highness King Edward William Keene III. Any news leading to the return of His Royal Highness the Prince will be rewarded handsomely by the office of the Red Palace, the Red Kingdom, Isle of Red. Descriptions. His Royal Highness Prince Alexandre Carindel is described as a healthy boy of 12 years. His head is covered in ringlets of golden hair. His eyes are blue. Lord Thomas Wrightingbell is described as a man of honorable age. He has white hair, best described as a halo that sits just above his ears. His eyes are brown. The office of the Red Palace appreciates your steadfast vigilance as well as your discretion. Signed, Lady Miriam Faldwith, Office of the Red Palace, the Red Kingdom. Long live the King.
Interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to say goodbye to the captain, nonchalantly walk out, and tell him I'll do my best and I'll keep you informed.
Okay.
And I think now, next time that he sees the mattresses, he is going to very much compare their visual descriptions to what he read in the letter. And I think also, first thing he would do leaving there is he would head back to his quarters and he would write in his journal as much of that missive as he can.
Okay.
As much as he remembers.
I think I can actually add that handout to your journal so you have it.
Excellent.
In players' journals. Deep. All right. It should be there now. You should have access to it.
Yep. Sure do. Cool. Yeah, and then beyond that, I think that he's going to try and clock them nonchalantly again at some point and compare their, do I think that this is who's in the letter?
They don't leave their room much. As much as young Rory would like to. His grandfather keeps him locked behind that door. They take their meals in their room. They have a large enough room that has a table and chairs, and they are able to eat there and not have to come out in public, as it were, very much. Every once in a while, the boy does sneak out and explore the ship on his own, as a boy of 12 is wont to do. I would say it's not a stretch to say that at some point during the journey, you get a pretty good look at him. Okay.
Cool. I have other things I'd like to do while still on the boat, but I will cede for now.
Okay. What would anybody else like to do?
I was just going to say, obviously he doesn't know exactly what's going on, but Edinburgh knows that Deep and Samson are up to something. Mm-hmm. So he would probably he would keep an eye on them. He would see if he could see what they're up to and work out from contextual clues what he thinks they're doing.
Okay. You give me a perception check. That's the order of the day. It's perception checks all around.
I also tell
We are a perceptive
Samson
bunch.
that he's willing to pay 3 gold per bottle, and that I'm uncertain if I think that's enough.
Okay.
19.
Adam Brada with a 19. You get the feeling that Deep has taken a vested interest in young Rory, whom you don't see much, but you notice that Deep is lingering around the door to that room, and seems to be kind of focused on the two people that spend most of their time behind it.
Okay. I would wait, kind of observe him while he's observing them, wait till he walks away, and kind of try and sneak up behind him when he's on his own,
Mm-hmm.
and just whisper, I know you are of the same size, but it is probably best you do not disturb the child.
I think Deep jumps, like a little startled when you sneak up on him. It's like, oh, disturb the child. I want to. He's learning. He's being tutored. I kind of am. I don't get to hang out with them much. I don't see them as much as the rest, and I'm curious. I'm curious what he's learning, and I'm curious about them.
Can I get an inside check to see if he's...
This is going to be contested insight versus deception.
Okay.
Okay. Deception. Oh, that's brutal.
Adam Brada, you wouldn't think that a small automaton could be so full of shit, but he's feeding you a load of it.
Yeah.
He's up to something.
Yeah, I let him kind of spiel on and kind of vaguely attempt to lie to me. And then I just wait for him to run out of steam. Yeah.
So, I just kept on. I just want to hang out with him and learn Elvish with him.
Okay. Well, if you wish to learn Elvish, I could always give you private lessons. I am quite fluent myself. This is, of course, assuming that Elvish is the only reason you're interested in the child.
Oh, well, I'd love that. When do you want to do it? Since we still have some time.
Evenings are free for me, assuming your days aren't spent stalking children.
They're not, but evenings work for me too.
Excellent. I just kind of loom over him in the corridor, not letting him walk away, but not saying anything.
Just,
Certainly
looking
not
up at
creepy.
you, Well, this is awkward, I'll be honest with you. I'm not great with people. I don't really know what to do right now.
You could start by telling me the truth.
Big T truth or little T truth?
Let's start little and work our way up.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm actually the same age as, or close to the same age as the boy in that room. That's a truth. What else is a truth? Let's see. How about we start with why I'm here? I'm I'm looking for information, specifically information on a figure here in the Red Isle known as Woodenfell. Have you perhaps heard of him?
I'm assuming that would be a history check.
That would be a history check.
I have 13 heard of him.
You have 13. The name Woodenfell does not ring any bells.
That is rather interesting, but it seems somewhat beside the point.
And what is the point?
The child.
As I said, I'm curious. I don't have any desire to do him wrong or ill. I'm simply curious.
Just know that your curiosity has piqued my curiosity. I will be keeping an eye on you. And then just kind of stalk away, feeling vaguely unsatisfied by the whole interaction.
And Deep is completely oblivious. He's like, okay.
Ignorance is bliss.
Deep's like, I did that really well.
It's like, that went great.
That was
He's
fantastic.
a weirdo, but it went good.
Yeah, like for the rest of the journey, I'm just going to be not quite all up in his business, but definitely when I see him or Samson wandering around, I will be making sure to keep an eye on them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When
I was just going to say, Samson, when you have your conversation with Deep, and Deep tells you that brandy is currently going for 3 gold a bottle, what is your response?
You also, in this moment, after I say that, Deep is furiously scribbling something in his notebook. Like, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, he said that it would be 3 gold a bottle.
Samson knows that's most likely bullshit. As this is a rare bottle of brandy where there's only a case of it in existence right now, with probably 9 to 12 bottles in a standard case.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the price of like a standard brandy bottle for a nicer brandy bottle. So 3 gold ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah, give me just for funsies. Give me a history check.
Oh, click on there. Ignore that. A 3.
A 3. You've never bought brandy before, but 3 seems low for what this is. You're right.
May not have brought brandy, but I understand supply and demand.
I think.
What are you writing there?
Oh, just something that I just feel like I should write down. I'm not sure. Give me a day or so. Perhaps I'll let you know. I need to sit on it for a bit. But
Okay.
yeah, if you feel that 3 gold is too low per bottle, then hold on to it. By all means, it was a gift for you, not for me. And you know, I get the sense that giving it to the captain would be a bad idea at this point.
Will do. And then sort of jump cutting to after Deep comes back from that last interaction with
Mm-hmm.
Adam. Deep, why were you gone so long?
Odd fellow in a suit. He kind of cornered me. Strange, but I don't know. I think I handled it well.
What? flute. That would be Adam Brata.
Yes.
What was he interested in?
Me, what I'm doing. He, had some mild accusations that I was lurking, but, I think he's a bit of a lurker himself. Nothing to worry
Did
about.
he
Not yet, at least.
did he hold you up or try and intimidate you?
No, not officially. A few minutes of my time, but nothing worse. It's quite all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's really all that Deep is going to give at this moment.
Samson, I'm going to have you give me a kind of retroactive perception check.
Not his strong suit. God damn it. Ignore the nature check.
16
My
on
finger keeps
perception.
slipping.
You have also noticed that Deep has an interest in the people in the suite. You're not sure why. No idea to what end, but it has occurred to you that that's where Deep's focus has been the last few days.
Understood.
All right. Is there anything else anyone wants to do aboard ship? With the understanding
Unless Deep
that
wants a
we're
lesson in Elvish, I'm good.
getting towards the end of our journey.
I do think Deep would attempt to take you up on your offer to learn Elvish, and it's very sincere. He's actually trying to get you to teach him Elvish.
Okay. Edinburgh is many things. Sincere is not one of them. So if you did kind of rock up to his room and try and learn Elvish, he would absolutely try to teach you. But it would be 10% trying to teach you Elvish, 90% prodding you to see what you're up to.
I think that the way Deep is wired is that once he's trying to learn something, it's like the only thing he's focused on. So it's probably the most like unproductive 90 minutes tutor session ever where you're barely tutoring and all I want to do is listen to the things that you're barely tutoring on, and I keep bringing the conversation back.
He's
Like
got
you try and take
ADHD.
it off, I try and take it to Elvish. And then the one last thing I would do is I would go to the captain towards the end of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Say, Captain, can we go step inside your quarters one more time?
Of course. Yeah, and he ushers you in once again, and
Yeah. So at this point, I'm just
pretty much the same routine. He wants to make sure that nobody saw you coming and going.
Sure.
Everybody saw you coming and going. He's just not aware of it.
Yeah, I think Deep's just going to say, so, Captain, I haven't had any luck, as you can tell.
Again, instant disappointment. Just.
But I have another clue. I think that he might be keeping it in somewhere hidden in the larger private estate room. I've kind of pulled clues from him, and that's what I'm getting the sense of. What do you know about the people that are the older man and the young boy that are in there?
You mean the suite? Well, they're very quiet people, and they've paid a premium for the space as well as to maintain that privacy. I don't know much about them at all.
Interesting.
Give me an insight check on that.
Oh my god, that is Another nat 1, guys.
100% sincere. 100% sincere.
Change your digital dice.
We need
Throw my
digital
laptop
dice
out.
jail. Yeah.
I think Deep's going to do the same thing of like, he's kind of just walking around. He's got this like little energy about him. I do think he's going to try and clock the desk again and do it again of like see if there's anything else that new information on top.
Okay. Perception check.
17?
Not bad.
Not a one.
There are some personal letters. A couple of which are of a, let's say, deeply personal nature. Both of which are signed by different women.
Excellent.
There is a bill of lading that tells you exactly what's in the cargo hold and who it goes to when you reach your destination.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. And am I able to pick up anything particularly either valuable and or odd, or recognize any names that are on the list of where it's going?
Let's see. The problem with doing a ton of prep for a game is that when you go looking for a specific handout, you have to scroll through about 400 things to find the right one. Okay, this one was actually fairly easy. You see linens, silks, coffee, red wine, white wine, brandy. You see steel ingots. You see wheat flour, fresh fruit, sugar, and tobacco.
Okay. Any names jump out at me that are particularly interesting of like where it's going?
The steel ingots were ordered. 1,000 pounds of steel ingots were ordered by the Office of the Red Palace at a price of 10,000 gold pieces upon delivery. You see that the linens, the silks, are going to a place called Lareth's Finery. You see that the beverages are going to Shin's Imports and Holdings. You see that the wheat flour, the fresh fruit, and the sugar are going to Borum's Supply. And you see that 500 pounds of tobacco is going to the South Wave Smoke Shop. And I will go ahead and I will add this to your...
Yeah, he'd do the same thing of, all right, Captain, if I'm able to see if find that bottle in that room, I think it may be difficult because I get the sense it might be in there, and those people are always in there, so I'm unsure, but I'll let you know.
The captain's very confused by this, and he's kind of scratching his head, and he goes, I don't know why Aram would put it there. He usually just keeps it in the larder.
I don't know. I could be totally wrong.
He kind of sighs and he says, I am starting to get the distinct feeling that I'm not going to get any brandy.
I heard that he might pop a bottle when we make it to port.
Oh, certainly. He usually breaks a bottle open on our final night at sea. But with so many people on board, I'll be lucky if I get a tipple.
Well, I'll give you my portion, since I can't taste it.
Well, that's very kind of you.
All right, Captain. Have a nice day. And then he goes back down to his room, and he's gonna jot all that down. You're sending it my way, but yeah, he would put that in his notebook. I kind of think that at this point, going into the last bit of it, like the last night, I think that he would get Samson and say, "So Samson,
Yes, Steve.
I have reason to believe that there are some VIPs aboard. VIPs that are traveling incognito, and I think it might be worth us tailing them as they head off of the ship. Quite curious.
You think
What do you
so?
think? I do. I think my information's good.
Okay. Is it the boy?
It is.
Okay. No wonder you've taken an interest.
Yeah, tried to learn some more, but um, nothing that's incredibly actionable at this juncture. But you know, if we
Understood.
lose them when the ship docks, then I think that whatever could come from this certainly won't come from this.
Gotcha. Do you think if they really are VIPs, that us trailing them might be suspicious of us?
Oh, I definitely think it'll be suspicious. I think we're gonna be suspicious of regardless because we're two automatons walking around.
That's valid.
Perhaps I can. The boys seem to take quite an interest in myself. Perhaps we can weasel our way into journeying with them post boat. Maybe we do that when we dock. We approach them and make friendly.
What level of VIP?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
Top
you.
of the line? I said, what level of VIP?
The VIPist.
Do you think you and me will be enough?
I don't know that they're particularly powerful, but I think they are quite important. I just don't necessarily want to show our full hand with them. I do get the sense that if something were to go awry or they are perhaps meeting an escort, then we certainly are not enough with just ourselves.
Gotcha. There are a few strong people on the ship.
I'm sorry?
I said there are a few strong-looking people on the ship.
Indeed.
There's Tazos, the military man, and then that Torto fellow, Duck.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
Yes.
interested in us so far, so Adam Brada might be interested.
Indeed. Well, are you open to perhaps working with a group of people? I think this could work out in everyone's favor.
I think so.
Okay. Well, let's hold here. I'll go see if I could round up the rest of who we've discussed.
Sounds good.
Deep's gonna nonchalantly make his way around the ship and try and go door to door to Adam Brada, Tazos, and Duck.
Are we trying to gather them all in your quarters?
We are.
Adam Brada, what say you?
I would when he arrives, I would ask if he's here for his Elvish lesson, and then when he tells me why he's actually there, I would agree and follow him back to his quarters.
I think he would say when you ask if I'm here for Elvish, I'd say I'm actually here for the thing that you've wanted. I'm going to give you some information if you'll come with me.
I was already going to accept, but now I am accepting with great relish.
Tazos, what say you?
Sure, I'm willing to listen.
Okay. And Duck, what say you?
Oh, hey, Deep. Yeah, I'll come with. Do you have a coat I can have?
A what? I'm sorry, I got an echo.
A coat.
a coat.
It's a bit chilly. Every day it gets a bit colder. So
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
maybe the others will.
So once I've gathered everyone, I'm gonna say. So I know that we might have all we've met in passing throughout this journey. Samson and myself have clocked you lot as likely to be the strongest on board the vessel. Um, and I have a proposal and some information for everyone. I believe there are some VIPs of great import aboard the vessel. Um, and I believe that they are likely going their own way after we make port. My proposal is for some of us to trail them to keep an eye on where they're headed and what they're doing. My concern, however, is that if they are of the level of import that I believe them to be, um, I get the sense they could be meeting up with a caravan of some sort. And seeing as Samson and myself likely will stick out like a sore thumb, we would hate to find ourselves in a altercation and be greatly undermanned. So my offer to all of you is to tag along with us to approach this as much of a unit as we can and gather some more information, um, and perhaps we can do something with this information.
Well, I was planning to follow you anyway, so it seems easier to just travel together.
Oh, for sure.
So they're important people, and we want to follow them. Why don't we just ask to hang out?
I think in this particular scenario, it's the old man and the young boy that are in the larger quarters on the vessel. They, if you've noticed, they've kept to themselves. I believe that will continue to be the case, um, and I don't believe this is a situation that we're going to be able to weasel ourselves as a group into accompanying them, unless we help them in some manner shortly upon arrival.
Well, everyone needs a little help from now and then.
No doubt. What say you, Tazos?
Well, it sounds like this might involve us in something that we are not aware of.
Almost certainly.
While that might be fun for some, I don't know necessarily if that is of interest to all of us.
The,
But
the,
I have business in this place, so as long as it does not keep me from my business, I'm fine to add my shield and my aid.
Excellent. Well, let me propose my initial thoughts. Um, the young boy whose name is Rory, he's taken a particular interest in myself. I think that he would do the same with Samson. Um, I offer that Samson and myself, try and ingratiate with ourselves with them as we're leaving port and see if we might be able to travel together. Um, in the event that doesn't work out, I think that we kill them regardlessly, and see where it goes.
It is a somewhat rough plan, but it does seem like the best we have right now. I say we try it.
Lovely. Well, I'll see you lot in port.
Yeah. I guess I'll go try.
How close are we to the end of the end of the journey?
I was trying to do this like the last night.
Because I was going to say, like, if we could try and ingratiate ourselves with them during the last night's party. If we had done it before then, but if this is after that, then yeah, we're screwed.
I think my understanding was the party is in port once they've made it. Is that correct, Josh? No,
on board ship the night before you pull into port.
Okay, so then I think this would be the night before that.
Okay.
I'm trying to give them the information before the party happens, and then when the party happens, I'm trying to chat with the old man and Rory, Oben and Rory.
Yeah. Yes, I think the festivities on the plan for the last night of our journey would be a good time to lay the groundwork for any plans.
I agree.
Parties are a good place to make friends.
This is true. Is there...
Not if you're me, but yeah.
Is there anything anyone else needs to accomplish aboard ship before the final night?
I think Duck is just going cabin, our group here and the crew, and just seeing if someone has a coat. If he knocks on a door and it's open and no one's in there, he might just go in and take it, not really, thinking it's a bad thing to do.
Okay. Let's see here. I would say give me an investigation roll on... You can either do... Let's see, the captain's quarters would never be empty. The first mate's quarters or the quarters that Samson and Deep have been sharing with a couple of the other crew members at night.
Okay, let's do the first mates.
Okay. Give me an investigation roll on the first mate's quarters. 14. You do find hanging on the back of her door a coat. It's less about warmth and more about keeping the rain off of one's back. It is a kind of a slicker, kind of a heavy oil skin, long, black, very plain. It is a coat, but it is not built for warmth.
Sure. It's probably a lot bigger than or longer than Duck's looking for in a fit, right?
Mm-hmm. It would definitely drag the ground behind you as you walked. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think he'll put it on and just wear it around, walking around. And it might make it hard to go up and down stairs, but he'll slowly just manage and just, it's his. He's comfortable in it, and he kind of found what he was looking for.
It doesn't take long before you hear from the aft deck, "Is that my coat?"
Huh?
Have you been in my quarters? That's my coat.
Well, I just needed a coat, and this was a coat, so I'm wearing a coat.
Well, I need my coat, you sneaky little git. You can put that right back where you found it.
Well, I need a coat too. If two people need a coat and there's one coat, the people should really share. I think that's what friends would do.
And you're dragging it all over the deck. Look, just put it back. We might be able to rustle up a good cloak for you or something.
Okay. Where is it?
Elias! Come here! Elias comes across the deck. And she says, "Get into storage. see if you can find our little turtle friend here a good warm cloak. And when you're done with that, hang my coat back up where it goes, please.
And Duck will just take the coat off and lay on the ground where it is and follow Elias.
Okay. Elias goes into the cargo hold and finds an old crate. After a bit of digging, he does come up with a cloak that's made of wool and, to your eyes, seems like it would be notably warmer than an old slicker.
Perfect. Thank you, friend. Thank you,
It
Elias.
is also about 2 feet longer than you are.
Perfect fit.
You can add a cloak to your inventory at the top of your inventory because you're wearing it with a weight of 3 pounds.
Sounds good. That's all Duck would do.
Okay. Anything else from anybody before the final night? Okay. It's your final night aboard the icebreaker. By dawn, the ship should be pulling into dock on the Red Harbor, and your next adventure can begin. The smells of dinner roll through the crew and guest quarters below deck, and you can hear crewman Elias tuning up his concertina somewhere up on deck. Aram Buck is setting out what amounts to a lavish feast on board the icebreaker. He stacks the galley high with steaming hot potatoes, a roasted shank of mutton, savory salted fishes, hearty bread with freshly churned butter, plump sausages, meat pies with glistening gravy. The captain himself is busying himself opening an old-looking cask of red wine. Aram also opens a bottle of his blue blackberry brandy. A ringing bell summons crew and passengers alike to eat. The belly of the ship is warm and filled with laughter and fellowship. Songs are sung, wine is drunk. And I will take a moment to move a bunch of tokens.
Josh, we're getting some crackling from your audio.
I don't know if there's anything I can do about that.
Word.
Yeah. I apologize for the crackling. Is everybody hearing it?
Yeah, but
Really?
yeah.
Awesome. Not
Yeah.
sure why. Okay, I'm going to take a moment and move a bunch of tokens to the galley for the evening feast. Okay.
Yep. Long and very delicious sounding list of food. I'm very excited to try all of it. I do love a good feast, even if it is on a boat.
Who doesn't?
Deep, because he doesn't have taste receptors.
What's food, yo?
Okay. Elias is in the corner with his concertina, whipping up a storm. The captain is slugging back glass after glass of red wine and has had a tiny little bit of the blackberry brandy bottle that's going around the room, which he seemed to enjoy very much. And as he tasted it and savored it and swallowed it, a look of intense sadness passed over his face for a moment, because he knows that's probably all he's getting on this trip. There's plenty of conversation about, the captain occasionally sings along with whatever Elias is playing. He and Anya are sharing stories of previous journeys, particularly interesting passengers that they've had, though they say this is the first time they've ever had a couple of automatons and a turtle on the ship at the same time, and this one will go down in history. And what would you all like to do at the party?
So before the party, before I walk in, once my room is cleared, I'm cool if Samson's in there, but I'm going to spend 10 minutes to ritually cast Detect Poison and Disease.
Okay.
Knowing, with my assumptions of who the VIPs are, I'm being extra paranoid. So then I'm going to go into the party and I'm going to just kind of clock. It's within 30 feet of myself for 10 minutes. Do I have anything go off from that?
So you cast this in your bunk.
I cast it, in my room. Takes 10 minutes for me to cast as a ritual, and then I can hold it up for 10 minutes, and then it's 30 feet within me. The presence and location of poisons, poisonous creatures, and diseases.
Okay.
And if there is one of those, then you identify the kind of poison, poisonous creature, or disease in each case.
You detect a bucket of lye, and you detect a smaller portion of lye coming from Adambrata.
Interesting. Okay, beyond that, I'm going to look around the room. Do I see Rory or Hoban? Did they
No,
attend?
they did not, but you did see Aram taking plates of food down the hall to their room.
When Aram returns, I'm going to head to their room, and I'm going to rap on the door and say, "Hello, it's Deep."
Okay. Hold on. Waiting for Roll20 to catch up with me moving stuff. The old man comes to the door again. Opens it up and greets you friendly. Hello. It's a pleasure to see you again, my little friend.
It's good to see you as well, Hoban. I was wondering if you were going to join us for the festivities.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think that's quite the proper atmosphere for a young man, and he kind of tilts his head in Rory's direction.
Can I get a vibe on Rory? Like, does it feel like he wants to go?
Give me an insight check.
Oh, God. Jesus.
9. Rory won't meet your eyes. His arms are crossed, and he's mostly looking down at a plate of food on the table that he has not yet begun to eat.
I kind of see that, and I turn to Hoban and I say, respectfully, Hoban, I think that it might actually be a great opportunity for young Rory to experience some cultures. There's quite a assortment of people here, and there's a lot to be said for learning how to behave correctly in social settings, such as parties and whatnot.
Give me a persuasion check.
This is gonna go good. With that, I'm gonna dump one of my built for successes in, which I don't know how to roll. It's an extra D4.
On the left side, on the toolbar, you'll see a D20. If you click on that, it opens a menu that will allow you to select and roll a D4.
Cool.
Nice.
Okay. So, 10. Mark off one of my built for successes. So a 10.
Okay. I'm going to have to counter roll this because it's kind of right in the middle there. So give me a second.
Yeah, I was hoping for that 4 to get me to 10.
Uh-huh. I do see your point, but he's a young boy, and we've got quite a busy morning ahead of us, and I just think him being so young and myself so old, we should eat our meal while it's hot, and both of us adjourn to bed as early as we can. I'm sure you understand.
I do. I'm not generally one to insist. I simply just didn't get to spend the time with you that I'd hoped. I'd be happy to watch after young Master Rory for, if you don't feel comfortable coming as well. We'll be right across the hall. And, I think as a burgeoning young man himself, I think that it's time for him to maybe take some of those steps towards manhood. And, I know he once was a boy, that's clear, but I can see his body's developing, and I think that he's coming into his manhood. Perhaps this is a great opportunity for him to experience some of that. Again, I understand if not.
This particular line of sort of badgering is making Hoban sort of visibly uncomfortable. And he's like, respectfully, I do think we'll stay in this evening, but thank you again. And he kind of just shuts the door.
Very well. Y'all have a lovely evening. And I kind of resigned, walk back to the party. I think over the next 5 or so minutes, I just try and clock everybody in the room and make eye contact with all of this group and kind of give them the light head shake.
Okay. So you've sort of let everybody in the know aware, or, let them know that they're not coming.
Okay. Edinburgh is going to have a swing, see if he can do any better at a bit of information gathering than Deep was able to. So he goes over to Aram and asks if they have any kind of fruit juice or anything that would be more suitable as a celebratory drink for a young child, or young man in this case.
Aram, who, it's a party. He's well in his cups at this point. Kind of laughs and he says, "Well, we've got plenty of grape juice." And he just waggles a bottle of red wine under your nose.
Yes, while I imagine that particular juice is delicious, this is not quite the audience I had intended. Do you have anything softer?
Oh, you mean for the kid? Oh, geez.
Indeed.
Well, I think we've probably got some fresh apples in the larder. I could maybe, I could make something. I could make some fresh apple juice.
That would work spectacularly. Yes, thank you.
He sadly puts his bottle of wine down. No glass. No glass. Just the bottle, which he's been taking to the head for the last hour. He sadly sets his bottle down. disappears into the larder. Comes back out with, a handful of good ripe apples, and proceeds to mash them through a strainer and strain that through cheesecloth. And he gives it a taste, and for good measure, he goes back in the larder and comes out with a lemon, slices it, and gives just 2-3 drops of lemon juice. Tastes it again, says, "That's not bad," and just sets it on the bar.
You are, as ever, a culinary genius.
He tips the wine bottle at you.
And then he slowly walks down and knocks on the door.
Okay.
And Duck will follow his best friend.
Okay.
That actually works excellently. Yeah. So as soon as he realizes you're coming with, Aiden would kind of throw an arm around you and shepherd you down the hallway.
As you knock on the door, you hear a frustrated old voice from the other side. "Deep, I've already told you we're staying in for the night."
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is a thing I can actually use, or if it's my position of power, position of privilege from my noble's background. It makes other people of sort of high birth more likely to be accepting of my advances.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the door. Yes, this is not Deep. This is Adumbrata. We have not had much of a chance to talk this journey, but I find this event a little boisterous for my taste. I have brought along libations more suitable for the age brackets we have here. I was wondering if we could pass a pleasant, quieter evening in each other's company.
The door opens, and Hoban kind of eyes you up and down, looks around the corner, and eyes duck up and down, and seems to appreciate your suit. And he says,
It's a good suit.
"Well, we only have the 2 chairs, but of course you're welcome to join us." And he leaves the door open, but goes back to his seat and continues his meal.
I kind of bow and walk in. My brain has gone blank. What is the child's name again?
Rory.
Rory, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you, Master Rory. And I place the glass of apple juice down in front of him. A small gift from me to you. I would also like you to meet my best friend in the world. And gesture over towards Duck.
Hey guys, look what I can do. And Duck will do his shell defense and then go into his shell.
Thump.
And then he'll just pop out his head. Pretty cool, huh?
Rory's demeanor changes instantly. He goes from looking very suspiciously at Adumbrata and very suspiciously at this glass of apple juice. And he sees Duck's trick, and his face just lights up. "That's amazing!"
That's what I think.
"I wish I had a shell."
Well, maybe one day you'll grow up to a big enough duck to have your own shell.
He looks over at his grandfather, and Hoban just kind of shakes his head. Very subtly, just kind of a...
So yeah,
Well, friend,
once I have
what are you
deployed
up
the
to?
duck defense. Were you going there, dude?
I was just asking them something, but you go ahead and do what you want.
Yes, once Duck has suitably distracted Rory, I kind of take a seat next to, or take a stand next to the chair where his grandfather is, and just kind of make pleasant conversation, not like very light, making sure to just kind of try and put the guy at ease, not asking anything important just yet. I kind of slip in a few subtle digs about Deep, and like he's a bit much, isn't he? That sort of thing. Just kind of very much place me and him here, and everyone else over there.
Of course. Give me a raw charisma check.
Oh Christ! I have many good stats. Charisma is not one of them.
The classic dump stat.
Pretty much.
That's a 5.
Yeah. That's about what I was expecting.
Okay, continue.
So yeah, I try to kind of soften the mood a little, fail horrifically.
Mm-hmm.
And then just once I feel like he's as warm as he's going to get towards me, I subtly start working in questions about what they're going to be doing, like what their plans are for tomorrow once we make ground.
We hear tell that there's plenty of work to be had on the Red Isle this time of year. I myself am quite an accomplished bookkeeper, you see. And the boy, well, he's at an age where he should be able to make some coin throwing hay or chopping wood, you see. Nothing terribly skilled, but should be well within reason for him.
Build a strong body.
Quite,
while
yes.
you sharpen his mind.
Precisely. Well spotted.
My father believed much the same thing. Whereabouts were you thinking of looking?
Well, I suppose we'd look for my job board somewhere in the town center first. Barring that, I might try to find a bank, perhaps, and inquire within.
Seems you have thought through this well. I was thinking I have a particular skill set myself. Maybe we could search together.
You can see his face going through a series of emotions as he's trying to come up with a polite way to tell you that he thinks that's a terrible idea. All he comes up with is, perhaps.
We've all heard that, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. It's like when your mom says, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
After the first polite refusal, I go back to just kind of making polite small talk.
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of wait for another opening.
Okay.
See what Duck's up to.
Hey, Rory, you want to see how far you can hit me down the hall?
He goes, and looks at his grandfather, and his grandfather once again.
It looks like a yes to me, Rory. Let's do this.
I think I'd better not. And he kind of plucks a bit of, loose meat off of his plate, looks at it, plops it back down.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm bored here. I'm going to leave. I'm going back to where the party is.
He throws a pointed look at his grandfather and says, "Wish we could all..."
The party does seem to have died down a little it might not be the worst idea to circulate a little.
Give me a persuasion check.
My persuasion
With
checks are almost as good as my
advantage,
charisma
'cause
checks.
Duck's trying to get him.
20. Jesus. Okay. He kind of looks at his own plate, which is mostly picked through. He looks over at Rory's plate, and it's less picked through because the boy's in a mood. Hoban sighs and he says, well, perhaps a short visit wouldn't kill us. And Rory immediately just goes, finally! And is out the door at a full run towards the galley.
As soon as he comes in, I just yell, Rory! Rory! Try and get the whole crowd to, make the kid feel special.
Uh-huh. It's like an episode of Cheers. He doesn't even sit. He just comes and finds a spot to stand kind of between you and Harry at the end of the table. And he surprisingly politely says hello to everyone. And his focus, he doesn't know where to focus. He's looking at you. He's looking at Samson. He's listening to the concertina. He's watching a drunken halfling standing on the bar trying to juggle apples, and it's not going well. He is suddenly seems to be having the time of his very young life. Hoban kind of walks in, takes a seat next to the captain, and somebody passes him a glass of something, and he politely accepts, but doesn't really drink. He just kind of holds the glass.
Samson's gonna go grab one of those apple pies
Mm-hmm.
and just a big fork and put it in front of Rory and just let him go to town.
Not even a thank you. He just says, brilliant, and starts digging like he's a happy kid all of a sudden.
Rory, this is my friend Samson. He's like me, kind of.
Hello, Mr. Sampson.
Hello, Rory.
Hoban mutters something about, slow down, boy, you're going to choke yourself to death.
I whisper to him, don't worry about it. Eat as fast as you want.
The fork speeds up.
I think after some time, Deep is hoping to naturally. He's not going to try and usher in this situation, but he's going to hope that the party volume level kind of rises to a point where he could nonchalantly chat with Rory and feel like Hoban won't hear him.
After a while, Hoban finds himself drawn into a rather engrossing conversation with the captain.
Excellent.
They are...
I'm gonna turn...
Their heads are very close together, and they're speaking very quietly. They are engaged presently.
Cool. Gonna turn to Rory and say, so Rory, how's your journey been? I know you've been studying hard in there.
Bloody boring. This is the best night so far, and I'm only 10 minutes into it.
Yeah, it's it does sound tough being in that room all day. I certainly understand where you could feel like it's boring. Where are y'all coming from?
You see him, his eyes shift. Like
Oh,
he's
right.
considering something, and he says, well, we were in Keeneland.
Nice. So I'm from Priest myself. I'm familiar with Keeneland, but haven't spent too much time there.
He nods and he says, I've been there too.
Oh, really? Don't get around a lot.
This year we've been traveling quite a bit, yeah.
I hear ya.
He's speaking
And,
quieter and quieter.
mhm. So are y'all, are you hoping to settle down once we make a port? Are trying to stay here or continue on the road?
I should hope that Gad is our final destination on this journey.
What are your grandfather? He mentioned y'all are looking for work. What do you know? What he's hoping to kind of work he's hoping to find?
Well, he's quite an accomplished bookkeeper.
What does that mean?
Good with numbers, you know?
It doesn't feel like there's that much opportunity for those who are good with numbers here. Not from my understanding, at least.
The boy's face grows very serious, and he says, "It's a hard place. Plenty of opportunity, and a strong people, but it's a hard place."
So you've been to Gad before, or do you just study history?
He kind of snaps out of his reverie and he says, my grandfather's been there. He tells me quite a bit.
I understand. Well, I was just curious. I know you've been bored, and I'm a curious person, so I just wanted to chat with you. You want to see something cool?
Always.
And I prestidigitation, like sparkles, like sparkler fireworks in my hand. I'm just kind of, doing little magic tricks.
Mm-hmm. He kind of, his eyes light up and he kind of waves his hand through the sparkles and he goes, "There's no heat."
Now there is.
He pulls his hand back and kind of sticks his finger in his mouth like, "That was very cool."
Watch this. I pull a quarter from behind his ear, a gold coin, and then disappear.
I've seen that one on the street. That's common.
I don't know that they did what I did, though, but that's quite all right. I have quite a few tricks.
I always suspected they were just hiding it in their sleeve.
Most of them are. Watch this. Is there like the silverware?
Mm-hmm.
Is this wooden silverware? Or is this metal?
It is metal.
Okay. Well, I'll do it anyway. I'm going to bend a fork under the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just going to cast mending on it. And I'm just trying to show him magic tricks and get him distracted again.
I mean, he's fascinated by literally everything you do. You could stand there blinking, and he would just be like,
"Okay, cool. I'm done then. I've done my prodding that I feel like I'm comfortable with right now."
"Okay." Anybody else? No? Okay. As the candles begin to burn low, one by one, all revelers trickle off to bed. Hours pass in darkness and quiet as the icebreaker gently mounts wave after wave across the North Sea. And you'll give me a moment to move tokens once again. Hoping I can remember which rooms everyone was in. Also, waiting for Roll20 to catch up.
They're having a night.
It doesn't help that I'm running 2 instances of Roll20 one for GM stuff and one for audience stuff, one that's going through OBS. And my poor computer is like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Almost there. Let's see, I believe Duck was in that room. Tezos was in that room. Aram sleeps there. And Elias shares a room with our automaton friends. He is immediately asleep as soon as his head hits the hits the pillow. He's just drunk and done.
We've let that sleep. Just
The night passes into the wee hours. The gentle rocking of the ship and the sounds of the waves are surprisingly relaxing to all of you. All of you who sleep, anyway. At some point in the night, you are all rocked out of a deep sleep as the ship violently lurches to what feels like a dead stop. You find yourself flung towards the hull as the icebreaker lists sickly to starboard. You can hear the crew's shouts between the ringing of the crow's bell as they rush to gather on the deck. The ship lurches hard again, and your ears are torn by a horrible, gurgling roar that seems to come from everywhere all at once. Then you hear something none of you ever hoped to hear. The voice of the crow calling from high above the deck. A single word. Kraken! And that's where we're going to end session 1.
Fucking knew you were going to do that.
We got this easy.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
It's just the most deadly creature you can encounter on the sea. No biggie.
Yeah, no biggie.
Just a kraken for 5 level 1s.
Mm-hmm. Piece of cake.
Well, we're 5 now. I imagine we'll probably be about 3 by the time the kraken's done.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it's not just you. You've got a full crew of competent sailors. You've got a great cook who's probably good with a knife.
Competent.
Yeah. You've got an old man, a little boy, and 2 good cannons on the deck.
Cannons are going to be the MVP.
But Anya's gonna pull her weight for sure.
It has been
Manageable.
established she's good with a rapier.
Very true. Something she's willing to show off anytime anyone asks.
Also a cool coat.
So I want to thank you all for playing this evening, afternoon. Feels like night. My day's all screwy.
It almost is night here.
It almost is, yeah.
It absolutely is. It's almost morning here.
Yeah.
Greatly looking forward to session 2. Thank you all for joining us for some fun and adventure. Please join us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and Discord for more fun. We'll see you in about a month, and long live the Red King.